Morning, morning.
What is
What is going on, buddy?
Not much. How's it going?
Well, a little bit of this. Yes, sir. It is time to shine. What you up to, man?
I am looking at some investment stuff currently.
Investment? Oh no,
Finishing up some
let me take you
investment.
down, man. There's only one
Nah,
thing worth investing in, and that's Jesus. Have you still not
exactly.
invested? I didn't make an ad. Have you still not invested in the best quality of investments? What will
You
it
are,
take for you? What will it
you're,
take for you to be a sharer of this?
yeah. You gotta check out this ROI.
Yes, absolutely.
The return on this investment. Hey,
Yeah, yeah. We're going to discuss ROIs and Jesus.
And they made proclamations throughout Judah.
yeah.
Who is that? Who is that listening to the King James version of the Bible?
That was me.
That was you.
He's like, and thou shalt read the Bible.
Thou shalt bring Bible.
Thou shalt bring Bible. Bring it.
Read it.
Morning, morning.
Hey, you gotta watch Sound of Freedom. Hey, that movie is real, man. That
Yeah.
Sound of Freedom movie is
Yeah.
crazy, dude.
Hey, so what are they saying, man? Like, so where is it happening where, because again, I'm watching it on TikTok, but you can tell it's real because these people are in the theater and there's like a person that works at this theater in the actual screen room, and they're like, all right, guys, we're just going to give y'all money back. And I'm like, man, what is, so apparently somewhere, I don't know where this is happening, but they're trying to like hinder like people watching this movie, and that ain't gonna happen here in Texas, but maybe that's in California or something. Where's that happening at?
Definitely California.
It's all over. I mean, when I watched
Yeah.
the movie, they didn't turn off the lights all the way. And I was like, what? This is crazy. They're hating on
Yeah.
this movie, man. They didn't shut
Yeah.
off the lights all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now somebody that I know is telling me this. So it is true. And from what I'm gathering is they're trying to say that well, there's a lot of things they're trying to say, but I think the biggest one is a certain political side is trying to say that another political side is like falsifying this movie. First of all, this is a true story. This guy really did do this. And when this first happened, both sides of the political sides, both sides were admiring what this man did. Both sides were. And now all of a sudden, they don't like, I don't think they like the fact that the name of the movie is called Sound of Freedom. They don't like the word freedom because when you say freedom means that, that certain bars can't be set. And so that's one thing that I've noticed. They're not liking the name of the movie. They're not mentioning that, but you can tell that's part of it. The other part of it is they don't like how in the movie the main actor is talking about how God's children is not for sale. So apparently, there's people that don't believe in God. And so for a person that is saving the children to claim God, they don't like it. And it's like, okay, well, where's the people that don't believe in God saving children? Where are those people at? So this
Yeah.
person is doing it out of his heart, right? Because that's all we talk about on Descaled is God's heart. That's like the main focus of the show. So this guy did it from his heart, and if he's born again, then it's pretty clear what heart cares for other human beings. It's pretty clear what heart that is. So for the other side to be upset that these people, like, again, right, because there is a political party that right now doesn't like that God is being brought into saving children. They don't like it. So, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, where's the atheist then? Please,
Right.
what how many names do I need to name? Atheists, any person that says no, there's no God, whatever you claim to be, because apparently you can claim to be whatever you want, a sheet of paper if you want to. So if you're part of a group that is the sheet of paper group and you claim that you love humans, where's those stories? Where are the stories from the people that don't believe in God at all, and they go around risking their life to rescue people, to rescue humans? Where are they at? They have to exist somewhere. What they need to do is come forward, because my personal opinion, they're not going to be a non-believer for long, because they're going to figure out what's motivating them to put their self in harm's way. But I went and watched it. I had a bunch of friends, a bunch of family that saw it before I did. I didn't see like a whole lot of previews about it beforehand. I mean, I think I might have seen one. I wasn't really sure what the movie was about. I mean, it was a quick preview, but the story of what happened, you know, I knew about the story obviously, but I wasn't sure what the preview was about. I didn't know it was about that guy, the main actor that went out and risked his own life. But yeah, man, so I checked it out, and I was trying to figure out, because, you know, I ain't never seen the movie, so you kind of try to figure out, all right, what part could I make a small clip and make a video about it? And because you never seen the movie, you don't know where to start or where to end the clip. And so I just kind of picked a part where I thought might have been, I don't know, the most extreme part, but I didn't know how long it would be. And I don't like playing, you know, several minutes on things like this. So I picked 60 seconds, and it probably wasn't the best part because I missed a good part, which I'm actually glad I missed, because there was an unaliving that occurred. I really didn't want to get that part in the video, but I went ahead and put it out there. And I know Flip went and watched it either the same night. I think you watched it the same night, didn't you?
Yep, same night, man. I told the Jordan, hey, we got to see this movie. So we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently there's a lot of experiences where the air conditioning's not working. They canceled the movie altogether, and you know, make sure you tell whoever, if they go to watch it, don't accept the money back. Tell them you want a free pass. That's what you tell them, because if you tell them you want your money back, it takes the money away from the movie. But if you tell them you want a free pass, it doesn't take the money away from the movie. You can just use that free pass to go another time or whatnot. So, you know. But with all that,
I haven't seen the movie yet.
yeah.
My mom went to go see it the first day it opened. That's why I was like, this seems like one of them. When my mom is that geek to watch something, usually it's like something highly law driven.
Yeah. I've only heard, I guess I've heard a little bit about it, but I've only heard one like negative thing as far as whoever the guy that made it is, the Passion of the Christ guy. And that was that the only way to keep your children safe is to chip them. So that's not true. Jesus is the only way to keep them safe. So,
Trot, Jesus is not in a grave. Jesus is not in a grave. What? You're right.
Agreed.
He's not.
Yeah. Agreed.
He's not. Just so you know, let's see. Don't start now. None of us on here believe that Jesus is in a grave. So I'm not really sure what you heard that make you think that Jesus is in a grave.
Don't start now, bro.
Yeah, don't start now.
Don't start.
start
We
it.
haven't even started yet.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So,
Do people
but
just be
anyway,
making stuff
what else?
up
What
or
else
something?
happened? What else happened on the weekend? What else you got? That's it. That's what y'all got. Yeah.
That's all I had.
Oh, well. All right. That's the end of the show, man. Everybody have a good one, and
See you guys.
you know, we talked about. Hey, what was the show about? Well, they talked about Sound of Freedom for like 2 minutes, and then that was it. And then something else happened. But
Oh,
yeah.
I had
So
there was this quote unquote debate, right, between the apostolic churches and the Protestants. And the question that the apostolic church guy asked the Protestant guy was like, how do you, he's asking him a jurisprudence question, right? He's like, is there anywhere in the New Testament that says that you can't marry your sister? And the Protestant guy was like, no, there isn't. He's like, see, that's why you need church fathers to tell you not to marry your sister.
oh my God, dude.
I was like, what, bro? Like, and the person didn't answer the question correctly because they should have been more like, bro, when you live in the spirit, you don't need black letters and white pages to tell you what's right and what's wrong. God himself within you, the spirit guides you. Like, you don't need, you
Oh
don't need,
my
you don't need
Lord.
black. See, my question was like, bro, okay, because I had a conversation with somebody afterwards, not within that whole realm. This was more a DM thing, and he was like, see, that's why you need a church father. I was like, nah, bro. So, where does tell me where the church fathers tell you not to smoke crack cocaine.
Bro, I mean,
No.
so many things. Okay, show me where I can't play chess 24 hours a day. Like I could just sit there and play chess all day. Come on, bro. Like I can make up so many. Like first off, I don't need, like me personally, no church father told me not to marry my sister. Like I already know, like, so how do I know then not to do that if a church father didn't tell me? That's crazy. That's crazy. They're acting just like the Hebrews did in the Old Testament. They're acting the exact same way. No, we need a king. We need someone to to judge and to tell us right and
Yeah.
wrong. Like we're going backwards.
Yep.
That's radical.
Yeah, and that same sort of that's like been the latest on TikTok as far as debates because even Muslims kind of grabbed onto that and they were like, I think I told you try it offline. Like the Muslims are like, can you eat rat? Like does the New Testament say you can't eat rat? So you can eat rat, you
Yeah,
can eat dog, you can eat all these things, and they're just like you guys are lawless basically. Like people, the
bro.
law keepers, the apostolic church and the Muslims are like all coming for the quote unquote Protestants because they're like you guys are lawless basically. You guys don't follow any laws and it's like you guys don't get it. It's almost impossible to you got to like really go slow to descale somebody like that. You got to like really build relationship with them and do little by little and start showing them the shadows of Christ in the Old Testament in order for them to get it. Otherwise, if you just
Yeah.
tell them, they're not gonna get it, bro. They're just not
No,
gonna.
they're not. You got to wait for them to want their eyes open. So when they're asking questions like that, hey, can you eat rat? They're in the mindset that the scribes and the Pharisees were every time they came against Jesus. So, they're like, hey, I know what we can do. We can go get one of these prostitutes and we can get one of these guys to get her. And as soon as he starts having sex with her, we can grab her and say we caught her in the act, take her to Jesus, and then bring up bring up Moses' law about stoning her. And then if he stones her, this, if he don't stone her, that, and and so they go out of their way trying to like fabricate a story to get this man to like act a certain way or and what they're trying to do really, if you pay attention, they're trying to get him in his feelings and his emotions. See, the people back then, when you were caught in the act of adultery, the people lost their minds. Like they just lost it to the point that they'll take stones and stone you until you become unalive. That's how emotional they got. And so it was real easy to get those people in their belly because that's what they worshiped, their belly. And so Jesus didn't worship his belly because he is the well of living water. So when they brought this woman to him, he didn't go, "Oh, how darest thou?" It was easy for him not to get in his belly and his flesh and to commit unaliving. It was easier for him to love the person because he is love. You can't trick him into not loving somebody. And so that's what they were trying to do. And he was like, well, I'll tell you what. Who's going to start off? Huh? Philip, John, any of you guys? No? Okay, well, whoever starts throwing, I guess we'll just follow your lead. Who's first? Well, we didn't really think that through. Well, I don't want to go first. I just thought that maybe, oh, you don't want to go first. Oh, okay. Well, I guess y'all need to go take a shower then. Go take a shower. Go cool off. Calm down. You know, very, very, very hated his attitude towards sin. They hated his attitude towards sin. And a lot of Protestants are going to be hated because of their attitude and their views towards sin, because we see Christ as the sin solver. The other people that come against those type of people are not sin. They don't see Jesus as the sin solver. They see themselves as the sin solver, and they need to humble themselves and repent. They need to repent and come to Christ is what they need to do, and let themselves go. But
So this morning, Trot, I read through the book of Ezra,
yeah,
and it was really cool because it kept talking about the river and like people on that side of the river and people on this side of the river. And it just, it kind of reminded me again of like the shadow in there is like, those who have been born again and those who have not been born again, those who have crossed through the water and those that have not crossed through the water, and there were several little notes in there that I took, but it was really interesting reading through the book of Ezra and how the king, basically how the Spirit of the Lord came upon the king, and they called him the King of Kings. But then he gave like all the power to the priest to fill the temple and this and that and do sacrifices to please the Lord. And it was funny because the priests and those who walked according to God's way, they were not allowed to pay, like they didn't have to pay tolls, they didn't have to pay taxes, they didn't have to pay anything because they were. And I was like, that's because they're in the Spirit, and when you're in the Spirit, you don't abide by the things of, those man-made taxes, those types of things. It was just like the spirit versus the carnal mind or whatever, or the real world. And that's how people read the Bible. They read the Bible on that side of the river, not on this side of the river.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, just like Saul of Tarsus. Saul of Tarsus knew the scriptures on one side of the river. But then when he came to the other side of the river, he didn't know it so well. So he went to the desert and he was there for years, pretty much going over everything he thought he knew. And I think that's a real eye opener for anyone that thinks they understand what they're reading. So even if you think you understand what Paul is writing, if you understand what Paul is writing, the only way to truly understand what Paul is writing is to understand the Old Testament. So, you may understand context very well. You may know whatever language is your native tongue. You may know how to understand those words in your native tongue. So, of course, the Bible's written in many languages. You can pick it up and you can read it. But to truly understand what Paul is saying, the Old Testament has to at least make some sort of percentage of a sense to you, because if not, you can miss a lot of what Paul is saying. And the book of Romans is one of the biggest misunderstood books that I see. People just pick that up, and when you don't go study that out in the Greek, then you're not really understanding what Paul is saying. This is why I always see, and I don't know why, I do not know the reason behind this. I can guess all day, but I don't. But what I can say is a fact based on me personally. But I've learned that a lot of Hispanic people, a lot a majority, let me put it that way, that I speak to about Paul or the book of Romans or the Bible in its entirety, no matter what it is, they don't understand the book of Romans. So it's majority Hispanic people. I don't understand. I don't know if because they used to be a certain type of Catholic and they've been taught the book of Romans to be, I don't know, whatever it is that they're saying about it. I noticed that it's a consistency with Hispanics, and where they think every time the word sin is being used, it's talking about sin as an action, and it's not. There's only one in there that sin is an action. The rest of them is sin is a verb. So Paul was an educated man. He knew exactly how he was using the word sin.
You mean noun?
He wasn't
right?
using. Do what?
You mean noun? There's only one sin in Romans that's a verb. All the rest of them are nouns.
Yeah. Well, if I said it backwards, whatever. The point I'm making, there's only one as an action.
I'm just making sure that people might get confused when you say that. That's why I clarify.
Well, I mean, I've said it correct a million times. You say it, wrong one time. Hopefully that, first of all, you don't get your doctrine from me. So if you're getting your doctrine from me, you're starting off with the phallus to begin with, right? That's why I'm saying to go study it out and understand that Greek was an educated man, and you can see yourself which ones are verbs or nouns. Don't take it from me. Go study it yourself, and you'll see it that there's only one time that Paul uses sin as a verb, right? And I've said this multiple times. The majority of the time when he's talking about sin, he's talking about a person, place, or a thing, which is a noun, right? And it's very important to understand that, because if not, then all you think Paul is talking about when you see the word sin being used, you think he's talking about people breaking the law. And so you're like, sin. Man, I've had Hispanic people yelling at me, sin, I'm saying sin. And the whole time what they're saying is, sin is an action. Sin is an action. They're not using the word action, but that's what they're saying. And I'm like, no, I hear you using the word sin, but what are you saying? And they get to it. Like, if you steal something, I said, that's what I was trying to get you to say. Brother, this is not talking about stealing or your unaliving. This is not talking about actions. It's not talking about verbs. It's not a verb. And then when you start talking verbs and nouns, they get mad at you because they're like, it says nothing about verb and noun. And you're like, oh, my Lord. Like, oh, and then you go, okay, let's go to the Greek. I don't have to go. They'll say, I don't have to go to the Greek. It says right there. And they're so confident in what they're saying. And don't get me wrong, they should be confident that they're reading the word sin. So that is true. I'll use another word, like, it's not saying microphone. So, but the way that they talk to you is like you're saying that they're not saying sin. Like if you're changing the word microphone, that's what they hear when you say action, the verb, the action, instead of the noun, right? The person, place, or a thing. And so, they're like, it doesn't say microphone. It says sin. And I'm like, I know it says sin. Like, man, and it could take so long for them to understand. And that's if they stick with it, bro. Some of them just think you're just losing your mind. Like, they're like, you're twisting it. You're a heretic. You're twisting it. And you're like, oh my Lord, dude. And then of course there are some that are educated enough, I guess, to where they do know the difference between a verb and a noun. They do. And they're like, wait a minute, what are you saying? Why are you saying that it's a verb and a noun? And so you take them to the Greek and you show them, and right in front of you, it's like they just, like their soul just left their body. Like they don't know what to say, how to say it. And and some of them come back, and a lot of them don't. And, but I've learned that a lot of them, that when they see it and they don't come back, they actually start teaching that. They just don't come back to you because they're ashamed they didn't see it before. And that's okay. You just leave them alone. But I mean, somebody's got to show them, but they have to be willing to hear. But every once in a while, there'll be someone that claiming they're willing to hear, and they'll just get mad at you and like literally start raising their voice because they don't understand what you're saying. And because they don't understand what you're saying, they become very aggravated. Like, this doesn't make sense what you're saying. And you're like, I know it doesn't make sense, but if you let me show you, you'll understand. And so if you think, man, some of these people have been for 20 years, 30 years, they've been preaching that wrong doctrine using Romans the entire time. Can you imagine? And then someone finally shows you this and you're like, wait a minute. So I've been preaching Romans wrong? Yes. So it's okay to say that sin is bad. That's okay. But to use the book of Romans? You're like, no. There's a lot of times, that you could be tempted to be afraid not to tell somebody something, but sometimes they need to hear it. And I've had, plenty people, on TikTok, well, they'll be using a certain scripture to say something, and one of them just popped in my head right now. There's a scripture that people will use. I'm not going to say what the scripture is. It doesn't matter. But they'll say, see right there, cheap grace, and you're like, what? Cheap grace? And they're like, yeah, this verse right here. And they'll go this, and they use a certain verse to tell people that cheap grace is wrong. And I'm like, what? I'm like, bro, that.
Hold on. That what part? Cheap, CHEAP, cheap grace?
Cheap grace. That's what they call it. There's this thing that floats around that's called cheap grace.
I never heard of that one, bro. That's a new one.
Well, yeah, it's a made up. Well, okay, it's not made up, but it's not as prevalent as you think. And so they'll put a title on you. They'll put a title on you.
I see.
Yeah, they'll put a title on you, trying to say that you think it's okay to sin, like God's grace is cheap, just a cheap grace. It wasn't good grace anyway. And so certain verses will be used, and I'll say, wait a minute, what verse are you using? And then when they tell me, I go, hey, look, I understand, but and I'll make a comment, and they're like, well, I think it's both. I think it could be cheap grace. I said, and I'm trying not to get like too detailed about the conversation, but the point is, it's happened to a few people, especially on this app, where they're trying to find a verse that helps them strengthen an argument against what they're calling cheap grace. And there's a few of them. And I'm like, hey, I said, look, let me just put it this way. If there was to be a discussion about cheap grace, that verse is not the verse to use. That verse is not saying anything about that. In context, it's not talking about that. And they're like, okay. Just like, again, if you want to talk about condemning someone about sin, you don't use the book of Romans. So I understand it says the word sin 39 times. But you don't use the book of Romans to talk to people about sin. If you want to talk about sin, then we just go back to Genesis and go all the way through there, all through the first 5 books. We can talk about sin, and we can go to Mount Sinai and talk about sin. So if you want to talk about sin, go to the Old Covenant and you can talk about sin. But to go to the New Covenant and try to twist what Paul is saying when he's not talking about sin as an action, he's talking about your unalived you, the sin part of you, the part that separated us from God. None of us were separated from God because of our actions. We were born separated from God. So if we were born separated from God, what was separating us? It was our unalived spirit that we got from the first Adam. So that's the sin that Paul is referring to in the book of Romans. He's not talking about an action like you broke the law and you're bad. That's not what Paul's talking about when he's saying the word sin in the book of Romans. But there's too many people that don't know that, and they use the book of Romans as a way to express how they see, how Paul sees, and how God sees sin. And that's just not That's just not accurate. So,
So try
uh,
the
yeah.
only verb sin in the book of Romans is that particular verse where it talks about by the sin of one man, which would be Adam. The rest of them are all nouns.
Yes. Yes. The rest of them is person, place, or thing. The rest of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that makes perfect sense because when he's talking about sin, like you said, we're already
Do you
born
have
with
it?
sin.
Hey,
So
do you have it pulled up?
it's Romans 5 and 12. I had studied that out last time you brought that up. I'm glad you brought it back up because I had to go back through it and go through all the sins of I had to go
Yeah.
through all the sins of the Romans.
The sins of yeah. And so when I was studying that out, like this is when I was studying the Greek heavily, right? When I was going through the New Testament, and I just happened to notice, and it wasn't the one verb that I found first. I just happened to notice that the other ones were nouns. And I was like, wait a minute, why would that be a noun? And I'm like, that's weird. And I still hadn't seen the verb yet. I just noticed that a bunch of them were nouns. And I just, and because of what I've learned studying the Hebrew, like for instance, understanding that when a particular animal has a very specific gender and it's noted, that there's a reason, right? There's a reason for it. So I noticed the nouns, and I said, that's funny. And I said, I wonder why these words, because it wasn't just the word sin. It was all the derivatives. You know, it was sin, sinner, sinning, sins. It was all of them. And I'm like, well, they're all nouns. And first of all, I thought they were all nouns, just so you know. Like once I got to about 30 of them, because I knew there wasn't more than 50 when I first started, I was like, wait a minute, dude, there's like 28 already, and they're all nouns? And then I keep going through there, and finally I find a verb. And I go, that's weird. Why is this one right here a verb? I said, what in the world? I mean, it blew my mind when I saw that. And so I went all the way back through them again. And then I think I missed two nouns. I don't know how I did, but I did. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, here's another one. And I thought maybe another one of them would be a verb. And no. Out of the 39 times, the words there, only one of them is a...
Romans 5 and 12 is the only verb, bro, and it's the one. And when you look at the rest of them, it talks like when you cross-reference it with other scriptures, it'll say like I have sinned, which is an action, sinned, which is an action, trespass, which is an action, and you go through it through all those, but the other ones are so Romans 5 and 12 is the noun. And then the other, so the action sinned is like. Hamartano, something like that.
I don't remember how to say it, but
and then the noun one is hamartia.
Yeah. Oh, they're different. At first I thought maybe they were the same, and I was tripping. No, they're different. They're different.
Yeah, so
100% different.
The scripture says, where'd it go? The actual scripture says, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death trespassed upon all men, for all have sinned.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so, you know, it's just sad when some real studying it doesn't occur. It becomes very sad. Because you can quickly misinterpret what you're reading, and it was just remarkable to see once again that Jesus didn't make a mistake when he chose Paul. He chose an educated man. This guy had everything. He was educated. He spoke several languages. He wasn't just a Jew. He was a Roman, so he understood both sides. He understood mentally how Greeks thought, how Romans thought, obviously how the Jews thought. He knew exactly how they all thought, every one of them. He knew why, like when they would ask a certain question, he knew exactly why they were asking that question. You know, he picked a man that was under the law, but at the same time, like understood Gentiles, just automatically. He wasn't consumed with hate towards Gentiles the same way as 100% Jew was. He understood why that the Jews disliked, certain sinners like horribly. He understood because he was raised under a Pharisee. So he understood it, but he also understood Gentiles in a way that they didn't. He's a perfect tool, and even more perfect. So, that he went as far as unaliving these crazy folk and pretty much, saying everything to him in the book. And then so when he received the revelation who Jesus was, who better to feel sorry for what he's done than someone that was as deep as he was in the trenches with the Pharisee, but at the same time Roman. And so it was easy for him to separate himself, maybe not hard under his teaching, but in a way, like a type of Moses, because even though Moses was 100% bloodline, a Hebrew, he was raised and he understood the Egyptians more than a typical Hebrew slave did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. And so all these things have to, Jesus is able to obviously easily pick Saul because he understands. And so he just needed the truth to be shown to him. And then the type of understanding of a man that he was in the world, he can use all them abilities to his, for the gain of the kingdom, because everything about this man was correct. He wasn't just a Pharisee. He was from the tribe of Benjamin. And so when you go study the tribes individually, you'll come to Benjamin and notice that Benjamin is the smallest of all the tribes. It was the way that they set up their camp. It was the smallest amount. I think I got it right here, actually. The number may not be 100% correct, but I'll give you, let's see, where is it anyway? So I'll start at the three main tribes at the north, and I'll just work my way around. So after the Levite tent was set, to the north of the Levite tent, it's funny, the first small tent in between the Levites and Dan is Merle, which comes from the word Mara, like Mary, bitterness. But anyway, but from the branching off towards the north, away from the Levites, would be Dan, Asher, and Naphtali, and they had approximately 160,000 people. I have the actual number right here somewhere, but I'm just going to give you an approximate just so you can see the difference in size. So the north and the south arms are pretty much the same size going away from the Levite tent. So Dan, Asher, Naphtali is approximately 160,000. Reuben, Simeon, and Gad is approximately 160,000. So those are pretty much the same amount of people on both sides. And then the long part, which is at the east, which is obvious why that's at the east, but facing the east, what?
Give me the big screen. I got it up.
Oh, do you have it up? Okay. Yeah, okay. So the way that you have it setting, the north is to the right. Man, I should have gave you one that didn't have my little notes there, because it's hard to see. But if y'all pay close attention, you can see a cross there. But so the north and south is approximately 160,000 people. So going downward towards the page is the east. That's the opening of the tabernacle. Obviously, the east, which would be the gate to the Garden of Eden. The east is where the two cherubims and the flaming sword was. But from there, it's Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, and it was approximately 190,000 people. So it's obviously the longest part away from the Levite, the tabernacle there in the center. It's the longest, and the shortest is west, heading upward towards the page, which is Benjamin, Manasseh, and Ephraim. And that was approximately 115,000. So you got two that were approximately 160. You got the lower part that was approximately 190. And then you got the upper part where it says son of the right hand up there, which is Benjamin. That's what that means. And it's approximately 115,000. But uh, he just happened to be part of the tribe of Benjamin. And Benjamin, remember, Benjamin and Joseph had the same mother. And it was Benjamin that was given all the grace. All the grace was given to Benjamin from everybody. Because of what happened to Joseph, the brothers felt bad. It destroyed their dad because he thought that Joseph was unalived. So if you picture this family, man, like everyone is sad. Even the ones that double-crossed Joseph were sad. But the only reason why they were sad is because it destroyed their dad. And then that's when they realized, guys, we just made a huge mistake. So, obviously Joseph was a little snot-nosed brat, and I can't stand him in the stupid awesome coat that dad gave him, and then we bring it back and it's got, blood all over it. And then now we got to hear about this. I was about to say it, but we have to hear about this, snot-nosed brat,
Hey, good catch.
But he's like, but I mean, if you just pay attention, oh, hold on, I think, oh yeah, this is just trying to come up.
For him?
Oh yeah, but there wasn't even a letter. There wasn't even a pronounce. Hey, what's going on, Jess? Yeah, this time there wasn't even a letter like even started. So I don't want to hear it. But
I'm gonna show you what's going on.
what happened?
I'm gonna show you what's going on.
All right.
Hey, Jess, I don't know what it's like in your take part of the woods where you're from, but when you say I'm going to show you what's going on, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. You're on vacay.
That's the west coast of Florida.
This looks like some white sands right there.
Oh yeah, it's a little walk from the beach. I'm right in front of the beach, but it's a little walk.
You got family out there, or are you just vacating?
Yeah. There's like 60 of us out here.
60.
Yeah.
I know them local folks who's like they're.
No, and they're not out yet. Everybody will come out by 11, 12. Everybody will be out there.
Oh my Lord! Better go get you a spot.
Oh no, man, we got plenty of spots.
Oh,
but it's pretty. It's pretty out here.
Yeah, man, it looks nice.
It is.
What are you staying in? What are you staying in? You digging a hole in the ground? Y'all stay in a hole out there?
Sarasota.
No, but what is that? Is that
like
a house
hotel?
or?
Oh no. We're right here.
Oh, y'all are right. Okay, you're just living right there by the water.
Right on the beach. Yeah.
Oh man, wow, that's pretty, dude. That's nice. Yeah.
So let's go back to Benjamin.
We'll go back to Benjamin. Yeah.
Before I forget, I want to talk about after you finish this one. I want to talk about the difference between a she donkey and a male donkey in the Old Testament.
The difference?
Yeah, like what was is there a spiritual difference between the two?
Oh. Well, yeah.
We know the she donkey, the she represents like wisdom, but I found some scriptures in the Old Testament that talked about male donkeys, and it was not in a good context at all. So I'm like, what the heck is that supposed to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Where was I at on this? 160, 160, 100. Yeah, I was just, I went through this because it's not, again, here we are again. You would have to tell yourself it's a coincidence that Jesus is always choosing a Benjamite. Like just throughout the Bible in its entirety, you always see a Benjamite doing like a very specific task. It doesn't mean that nobody else was used, but you do see this weird like relationship with Benjamin than you do with a lot of other tribes. It's very weird. It's kind of like the difference between Peter and John. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like Peter always boasting and wanting to do things for Jesus. And then you got John over there, the brown-nosed kid in the class that just always, got his nose stuck in the proper places there with Jesus. And, to the point that even Peter beckons to Jesus like, hey, man, what's he talking about? Like you can see it in the scripture. He's like, hey, Peter, what's he talking about? Because he beckons John to tell him. Like he just knew that John could get the answer. So let me see. Where's my, yeah, here it is right here. No, that's not it. But again, that's why I'm going over Benjamin, because the tribe of Benjamin is the generation, if you will, that we're in right now. We're in the generation of grace. That's just a generation that we're in. And, you know, how long that generation is, that's hard to tell, but that's where we're at, where all the grace, love, and mercy is given to us, just like all grace, love, and mercy was given to Benjamin. Dude, you can imagine they were scared to bring Benjamin to Joseph. They said, dude, if we bring him and something happens to him, you know, they have a discussion about it. You know, they're just like, this is not going to be good. But, you know, that's what Joseph said. You know, I want you to bring your and before and, you know, while you're on your way to go do that, leave one of your brothers here. You know, and so they had to go get Benjamin. And you can imagine when they're telling Benjamin's father, when they're like, hey, you know, their dad, they're like, hey, man, we got to take Benjamin. He goes, you take Joseph away from me. Now you want Benjamin? It's like, oh, my Lord. And they're like, well, what do you have us do? And I mean, the whole story is just amazing when you start reading it as a descaled Christian. You know, these stories mean nothing if you're just a legalistic Christian. I hate to say that, but it means the stories mean nothing. It's no different than an atheist reading it. It's no different than a person that is just all about religion. I don't care what denomination you're from. It doesn't matter. But if you have not been descaled and you're just someone that's claiming to be a Christian because it's cool, that means you're the person that no matter what country you'd go to, you would learn the biggest, like, strongest religion out there just to get along for political reasons, right? That's why a lot of people become Christians in America. That's the only reason. And that's why Christianity is hated so bad, because people join it and they hear all this stuff that people are saying, and they don't realize that they literally are becoming an Ananias and Sapphira. See, Ananias and Sapphira were not believers. They were con artists. I don't care what anybody says. If you're reading the story as a non-descaled Christian, then Ananias and Sapphira are Christians, and God will punish you today. That's how you'll read the story, because you haven't been descaled. You can't see what Ananias and Sapphira are representing. They're just representing con artists, people that just go. If you were not in America, but you moved to China, Buddha would be your god, pretty much. You know, I knew a guy he was Burmese, and a funny character, real good at chess. He would travel the world, you know, with his family, and everywhere he went, they were very poor. You know, they always had money to go somewhere else, but they were very poor people. And what they would do is I'm telling you, just coming from the horse's mouth, any place, whatever religion was the strongest, they would go to those temples, churches, whatever you want to call them, and they would say, hey, can you teach me how to serve your God? But they only did it so they could get fed food from them. It's the only reason why he did it, him and his family. And they just went hopping around from place to place. They didn't serve any God. They just told people, they say, oh, yeah, I serve your God. And they're like, oh, well, how long you been saved? They'll say, oh, we got saved yesterday. That way they didn't have a obligation to prove it. They're like, oh, we got saved yesterday. How'd you get saved? Well, the guy said to believe in their God. Oh, well, you're not saved yet. You know, there's always a dumb Christian ready to save you for the 25th time. And people know this. You know, save me again, save me again, save me again. And I mean, golly, what easy way to live in the world is to keep telling people they got to get saved every 5 minutes. It's just the easiest way. Oh, man, I need to be saved again. And well, you can feed. They get fed again. I need to be saved again. They get fed again. And, you know, the people feel like, quote unquote, these Christians feel like they're doing something by, quote unquote, saving people again. And these people ain't getting saved again. That's why they leave the church and they're the same. That's why they leave the church and they're the same, because you keep telling them they have to get saved again. Well, that's not the truth. You know, there needs to be a descaled moment. And when those people don't have those moments, then you keep talking to them about the law and how bad they are, and they leave the same. But yet when they come the next day, we're going to talk about the law again. and how they need to be good people. Well, then they'll never be saved then, according to that. And then just becomes a fight was all it is. Mac, what's up, man? I wonder if he's driving around or what. Mac, you can't hear us, buddy?
Hold on a second.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Man, Mac sounds like he just dialed 911. There's an intruder in my house. And they're like, sir, can you please describe them? Ma'am, can you be quiet? They can hear you through my phone. Can you be quiet for a second? It's like, all right. But, Dre, would you say, what scriptures did you want to talk about and we can't say the other word. We have to say donkeys. Because last time we said the other word, Jess got the whole ship here riled up.
Hey, sorry about that, man. I'm checking in at an Amazon location here in South Carolina, and it's a load that comes here, but it's like they don't understand the load ID, or there's some type of mix-up with numbers, so I was trying to get it checked in.
Oh, man, you're good. We were just saying what's up.
What's up, man? How's y'all's weekend?
Shoot, amazing. You want to hear about it?
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Nah, man. No, really. Actually, this weekend, man, it wasn't a whole lot going on. There's a few things, but the biggest one, I guess, that we talked about, me and Flip went to go see the movie Sound of Freedom.
Oh, I seen Flip's video, yeah.
Yeah, so we went to go see the Sound of Freedom, and we talked about that for a little bit, and but it is what it is. And I think Dre wanted to discuss donkeys, even though in the King James Version it says the one you want to talk about is in Ezekiel
23:20. It's talking about the whoredom.
Oh,
by the way, I don't have a riding lawnmower right now, but you know that, Trot. So I spent all day Saturday, almost 8 hours cutting grass. So I cut like almost 2 acres with a regular lawnmower. So my back was shot Saturday night.
Oh, I bet. Oh, man.
But I had to do
lie.
it, bro. The stuff around my house is getting too high. So obviously, the whole property. So I still got to go like either fix mine or rent one. But it was not fun this Saturday for sure.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's definitely worse. And when I say worse, I'm you know what, I'm downplaying. That is a whole lot worse than I had to. What, AI? Y'all saw the Sound of Freedom. Yes, AI, you didn't see it? Or AJ, sorry, AJ, you didn't see it, man? But, yeah, no, yours is obviously a whole lot worse than mine. Mine, it rained like nonstop for a couple of weeks. And there was probably one day that I could have went out there, but the grass still wouldn't have been completely dry. It still would have taken a few hours to. So I waited, literally when it stopped raining, I waited almost a week after, just so that 100-degree weather, could get all that moisture out from the grass. I got got back from Alaska. Oh, but yeah, yours obviously is way off. It didn't take me that long. It probably takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how tall the grass is or how wet it is. But I try to do it every 3 or 4 days, and I can cut the whole thing in an hour 20 to an hour and 30 minutes, just depending on how much I get off the mower, the zero turn. But when I went and cut it at that third week, bro, it took me, and I got my times messed up because I think it took me 2 hours for the front and 4 hours for the back, or is it an hour and a half for the front and 3? It took me like 5 hours at least, somewhere around, or 4 or 5 hours. It was almost triple the time but I do have a zero turn. So with the push lawnmower, oh my Lord, what'd you do? Put it on high mode or something? You lift that sucker all the way up or what?
I lifted it up as high as it could, and so some of it I had to weed whack first, and then try to get it down. But some of it I went over it a couple of times. But the whole time I wanted to start complaining, I would just think about like my grandfather in South America. He used to cut the grass with a machete. So that's way worse. I'm like, at least I
Yeah,
got a
yeah,
lawnmower.
yeah, yeah. You're like, yeah. And my other person, like that's in my family, 10 years before that, they used to use shears to cut the lamb to cut the grass. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, further back, they used to have a bunch of goats. I think Eric, he comes to the show a lot. Eric, he's always like, dude, get you some goats. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to deal with goats. Don't get me wrong. They'll mow that. Hey, in a few days, you won't have no grass. They'll be telling you, I'm hungry. Send it.
Yeah, that's what
They have
I
all
was
that.
telling my wife, like, we need to get like, if I can get like 3 goats, bro, and like section off the land like my neighbor did. You put the goats on one pasture for a couple of days, and you put them on another pasture for a couple of days. Next thing you know, they take care of the whole thing. I don't have to do nothing, bro. Just
Yeah.
move them around.
Just move them around and they'll eat it. They'll eat it.
Hmm.
It's true. I just don't want to, deal with goats. Like, I already know I'm going to have to get me, well, not me. I'm going to have to buy the heifer a baby calf, like a miniature cow. They only get like 3 foot tall or some crap. Anyway, I already know I'm going to have
Never
to.
even heard of that.
I know, dude. I know. You got to remember, man, when I say my heifer, I ain't playing. It's 'cause she country girl for real. And I'm telling you right now,
Oh, let me show y'all what I found this weekend.
before long, she going to have her a miniature, not a goat, a miniature cow, a calf, like they're just little, like literally, they're like, some of them are 2 feet tall, some of them are 3 feet tall. They don't get any bigger.
Look what I
That's how
found,
the cows
guys.
were in biblical times, is what I was told, was the biblical time cows were very small.
Guys, I found the
Yeah.
red heifer.
I know. That's why I told you, bro. We should have sold that to the rabbis there in Israel. We would have made a fortune.
Yep. But my wife wants what she wants is it's called a baby doll lamb. It's like a little lamb that doesn't grow. It looks like I don't know if you've seen it, but she wants one of those. I'm like,
What?
man,
A lamb?
it's called like a baby. It's called like a baby doll lamb or something like that. It's like this little baby lamb that doesn't grow, bro. It's like a tiny little white fluffy thing. I'm like, I want to eat it.
Go.
My goodness.
Yeah, lamb chops.
We
Straight
went to
up.
this restaurant this weekend and we had I ordered a paella. Man, that junk was amazing, bro. They make a great paella. And my wife ordered a lamb ragu and it was amazing, bro. Really good food.
Yeah.
Flip asked if that was a organic murder.
I'm about to lose service. Let's back up in a few. Oh, well, what do you want to talk about? Jess? Oh, okay. She literally meant right now. Lose service. I'm going to request back up in a few. There is something I was wanting to talk about, I guess. Maybe that's what she's saying. All right, Jess, you just request up when you need to. Let me see.
Yeah, when you get a chance, try look up baby doll lamb. It's called a baby doll sheep. Baby doll
Yeah,
sheep.
no, I know what you're talking about. I know what a baby doll
okay.
lamb is. Yeah, that's why I said they're delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to read Ezekiel 23:20? You want me to read it?
No, go right ahead. Matter of fact, I need to pull it up.
Because that's because I looked at it and I was like, obviously it's when you read the scripture, like that has to be a male, but it's still spelled the same way in English. So I had to like look it up and backtrack to all of our donkeys that we looked at, all the she donkeys we looked at.
Yeah.
And there is a
And another
difference.
thing, it's not always whether it's a male or a female donkey. It's in context. So it's really weird how these things are written out. It's like Jesus wrote it in a way that it's not really based on a pattern, but yet it'll seem that way. It'll seem like there's this certain pattern But then in context, you're like, well, in context, that something ain't right with that in context, like that, it doesn't make any sense. So it's crazy. So not only does the donkey have to be a female when it's talking about the spirit, but it also has to go with the context of the physical story. Like it's pretty radical, man, to be honest. But I think AJ, oh no, miniature cow, you're making that up. No, dude, I'm not making that up. Like
That's what I thought. I thought you was making that up too. I never heard of that in my life, bro.
No, dude, it's a thing, man.
Does
It's
it
a
give
thing
milk
out here.
too?
Like, do what?
Can you milk it? Like, can it? Will it produce milk?
Well, I will say this. Me personally, I've never owned one. I don't know much about them, but all I know is they're real, and people get them for pets. Like, that's why people get these things. And when I say they're 2 to 3 feet tall, I'm not kidding, dude. They're little. They look like little dogs, and that's how people treat them, like the little dogs. I just told my heifer, hey, that heifer ain't coming in this. There's only one heifer that's allowed in my house, and you're it. So that thing ain't coming in here. We can put that sucker in the pasture, and you can, pet it or whatever. And I'm gonna shoot it with the BB gun here and there, but we're not just gonna be.
You're such a jerk.
I said I'll shoot it with the BB gun every once in a while, but. Let's see, could sell. I didn't think something could sell what doesn't belong to them. I don't know. Oh, it's a thing. Hey, Steph. Hey, man. Stephanie's in here. If y'all need someone to clean your house immaculately, and when I say immaculately, I mean that. This person right here, Stephanie Morgan, my Lord, this girl is no joke. You want to talk about someone that knows how to own their own business? This is one of them right here. See, this is a big thing that people miss. If you want to own your own business, you need to be good at it. Let me make myself clear. Don't just have money and buy a business and you don't know anything about it. You need to be good at it. Period. The end. Yeah. Period. The end. Let's see. Oh, did she already request back up? No? Hey, Jess, what are you talking? Read above? Okay. I didn't think could sell what doesn't belong to them. Who is selling something? Or maybe
she's talking about if one can sell their soul to the devil.
Oh, Lord. We're on the devil talk again?
Uh-oh. We worshiping Satan right now. All right, there she is. Let me let her up. Sell your soul to the devil. What's up, Jess?
Hey, good morning. We were having a topic last night, and it was me, Bill, Eric, just a few of us, and the topic was, could we sell our soul to the enemy? Well, after we discussed it a little bit, I said, well, I'm going to have to go to Trot. So I'm coming to you, and if you want me to go to you in private or DM you, I can do that if we don't want to get on that topic, but
you're good, man.
Trot, hold on, Trot. Before you get into it, Stephanie Newberry, stop hanging out with Bill.
They're so funny.
Where is
My
Bill?
name is Jessica. Like, how do I take advice from somebody that calls me Stephanie Newberry? My name is
Jessica. Is that what I said?
Not you, Trot.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, I think he said Stephanie because I said the name Stephanie a while ago. My bad. Yeah, I think I caused some confusion there. Yeah, so let me see. I'll make one comment about this, and this is why I say, like, well, I understand. Trust me, I understand 100% why certain things are brought to the table. Hey, but I'm telling you, man. It's kind of like, oh my Lord. Look, I'm going to explain it this way, and just hear me out on this. Everybody, and when I say everybody, I do mean everybody. Everybody, and if you don't know any of these people, you grew up under a rock. Everybody knows someone whose parents were divorced or separated. It may not have been your parents, but it was somebody's parents. Okay. And if you watch them, if you watch the kids when they're younger, they'll use their parents against each other. Now, obviously, kids will do that to their own parents in the house, but you see it played a little bit more. It's a little more rough. It's played out a little more hard when they're separated because the other parent's not there to back them to take, to defend themselves. So the kids will act a certain way at one parent's house, and then they'll go to the other parent's house and they'll be like, hey, well, so-and-so said, and then so-and-so said. Now, it may not be the parent. It may be, for instance, let's say the kids are at mommy's house and mommy has some friends over and there's a discussion. And so the kids go to dad and say, hey, mom and her friends were talking about this. Well, let's just say they're political views. And let's say mommy's friends are Democrats, and let's say daddy's friends are Republicans. Well, if the kids really wanted to, the kids could argue against one side by taking the opinions and the understanding from the other. So let's just say the kids were mad at daddy. They'll learn how to argue with daddy from mommy and then go tell daddy, no, daddy, you're wrong. What you think about that's wrong. It's actually this. And then when the kids are mad at mommy, they'll do the same thing. They'll go to dad and say, hey, mom and her friends are saying this. And so I'm saying all that to say this. I've seen that happen on TikTok. I've seen people go to one live and say, I don't believe that. And they're like, and they'll say, oh, well, so-and-so said, and I'm telling you, when I heard this, I couldn't believe that I first of all, I wasn't surprised. Let me just say this. And I was probably on that live. I'm not even kidding you. 2 minutes, if that, a minute. And a person said, well, Trot said, and this person yelled and said, Trot is not God. And I was like, oh, my Lord. So now I don't go on anybody's lives. I'm not mad at anybody. Matter of fact, just to be clear, I'm not even in a bad mood. Like, I'm not even in a bad mood about it. But I know what that is. And, man, just because people are physically grown does not mean they're mentally grown. I hate to say that. I hate to pop the bubble there, but you can be talking to an adult 30 years old or older, and they're still 15 years old in their head. And it is up to you to decide who is mature and who is not. I'm not saying perfect. Don't get it twisted. Don't be mature and think, or immature and think that I'm talking about perfection. No. Nobody's perfect. But what I'm saying is there are people that are further along in maturity than others, okay? And I'm talking about consistency, like they're consistently mature. Yeah, there may be a year, 2, 10 years down the road where that person's going to say or do something dumb. Yes, but a very immature person, they say and do dumb things all the time. That's the difference. That's what I'm saying. And so, when that person said, Trot's not God, I was like, okay, first off, if you have to tell somebody that a human is not God, like, where are you at in your maturity, in your growth, that you think you have to tell somebody that another human being other than Jesus is or is not God? And I'm like, oh, my Lord. Like, I'm saying all that just to say this. I understand that you guys have discussions, and to be honest with you, most of you guys that come on here and hang out, I don't believe that there's any animosity or like conspiracy thoughts or any. I'm good. I get it. I understand y'all hang out and y'all are just talking about things. But man, I have learned in these past couple of years that whenever other TikTok people start talking about what other people are doing on TikTok, it never ends good or never ends well. So I understand y'all are having a topic about selling your soul, and we can at least start off by saying, what scripture were y'all using? If it, or was it just a discussion? Were y'all using scripture, or were y'all just discussing only?
Bill was using a lot of scripture, and what we came out of, because he said that he wanted to go to just scripture, so we kind of narrowed it down to that. But I will tell you that once we went to scripture, we found that you know, at the end of the day, we're all born into sin, and the devil pretty much has the enemy has our soul until we are saved, and then, you know, the devil no longer has our soul. So, but until we come to Christ, there's the soul's only Christ. So really, we have, I don't know. Yes, we went to Scripture, but
yeah. I'll say this. You know, this is what we do know, right? This is what we do know. There's a difference between us being in Jesus's hand, than being in quote unquote Satan's hand. Like, it's a huge difference there, and every person has to discern. And I'm not saying there's I can already hear the red pen scratching the table. Look, I'm not saying that there is or is not a scripture that says that people are in Satan's hand. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that there is a scripture that says that we are in Jesus' hand, right? And nobody can pluck them out. That is true. Now the next question would be: is it true that a person has to choose to be saved? That's the next question. So if a person was to say, yes, you have to choose it. Okay, so if you have to choose to be saved, does that mean you can choose not to be saved? So let's say that, just for, you know, argument's sake, yes, a person can choose not to be saved. Okay, so if a person's not saved and a person's not born again, isn't their fate going to be the same as Satan's fate? So it's not like there's this other world, right? Like the story of Greek mythology, that Zeus has a brother named Hades, and Hades is the ruler of hell. My friend, it is not like that. Satan's fate is not ruler of hell. He's in hell, just like whoever else is going there with him. There's not going to be someone ruling hell the way you think. Hades is not controlling all the dead, unalive people in hell. He's one of them. Remember, separation from God is hell. So Satan, literally, because he's separated from God, remember, to the belly may you go, and may you eat dust all the days of your life. That's separation from life. So Satan's already, quote unquote, in hell, because separation from God is hell. That's why Jonah called the place that he was, right, the belly of the big fish. That's why he called that place hell. It was separation from God. It says that Jonah left Joppa. That word Joppa means beautiful. He left the presence of God. So he entered, quote unquote, into hell out of God's presence. So those questions are actually more important to ask. Can you choose to be saved? Can you choose to be not saved? And if that's true, then those people go to, quote unquote, hell along with Satan, not as though Satan is like Hades and everybody sells their soul to him, and then now he rules your soul, like the octopus lady in Little Mermaid. Yeah. Right, the octopus lady, she tells Ariel to sing, and she gets her voice, and basically if she don't pay up, that the soul of the merman or mer lady is like shriveled up in little jars, and she's like the queen of these. That's not how hell is. Satan's gonna be right there in one of those little jars. There's not gonna be no ruler in that way. And so when you say sell your soul to the devil, like the show, what's the show where the two brothers go around unaliving demons? Supernatural. Y'all ever seen that? Supernatural. I've seen a few of those, yeah. And it's about these two brothers, and Satan is like a character, and they like talk to him, and it's God versus Satan, and Satan got this power. Listen, he may have taken dominion of this world for a short period of time, but don't be mistaken. Christ is already the last Adam. He's already taken the dominion back. So if the last Adam has already taken the dominion back, Satan is a defeated foe. He does not. He cannot be looked at as though he still has dominion in this earth. He doesn't. So if he doesn't have dominion in this earth, he's just looking at who's going with him, but not who's going with him so he can have a place that he's going to reign. He's not going to reign anywhere. When it's all said and done, just like in The Little Mermaid, he's going to be in a little jar shriveled up himself, period, the end. So, I understand it's a fun topic to have, but you can't, he is not going to be the ruler of hell. And I think that's what causes some of these topics or discussion to come up, because there's a misplacement on where Satan stands right now. He's a defeated foe. He doesn't have any power. He doesn't have any dominion. The dominion he did have was Adam's, and he took that dominion from Adam because Adam gave it to him. And, or better yet, he only had it because Adam gave it to him, not because he took it, like manhandled Adam. That's not what happened. And so the last Adam, he took that dominion back. And I say this all the time in the story of Job. Job, you see Satan in heaven. He was only able to do that because he had Adam's dominion. He was standing in the position that was rightfully Adam's. But because he did it legally, because Satan stood in Adam's position legally, this is where you see how perfect God is. Even though God did not want him there in that spot, legally, God couldn't do nothing about it. Did he have the power to do it? Can God just do whatever he wants? No, God only does his will. That's all he does, his will. And people mistake that when they read that God does what he wills. They read that and they think it means that God does whatever he wants. When you read the Bible that way, you become a fool. God is not like a human, that he just does whatever he wants. He's very goal-oriented, and nothing is going to distract him from his goals. Even Satan standing in the spot of the first Adam, God already knew that the last Adam is going to come take that dominion back. He already knew it. So why was there a need for worry? There was no need for worry. And then we see God say, have you seen my servant Job? And so this whole story of Job is a shadow of Christ. I know it seems like we're digressing, but you need to understand that the dominion has been taken away from Satan. So Job's name in Hebrew means hated and persecuted. And so there's only one that was given to Satan to be hated and persecuted to death, and that was Christ. That's why God said about Job, don't take his life. Why? Because there was only one sacrifice that was worthy, and it was Christ. He's the only one. So Job is a shadow of Christ. It's not a shadow of how God and Satan talks about us, and then God has Satan on a leash, and every once in a while he goes, sick 'em, Satan, get 'em. I don't know where these lies are coming from. That's not the truth. That's not what's happening in these stories. But anyway, so back to my last statement about the soul and all that. He's not going to be reigning anything. He's going to be there with everyone else that's going to be there, and that's pretty much it. But
that's good, because yesterday we brought that topic was brought up, and my thing was when he tempts them on earth and the individuals. I just came in, so I didn't hear the full thing on it.
Yeah.
But I understand how you're looking at it. I didn't see it that way. And it's good, because I was saying if he's tempting, or somebody makes a pact, like we know that he's got worshipers here, and they make a pact, so they just going to the lake of fire as well. So that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
anybody.
I
Yeah.
just
So
wanted to
yeah.
verify that. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I usually don't. I mean, I usually try not to go through there off of other people's topics because. Like I said, it just ends up turning into this. It ends up turning into an argument a lot.
No, I love it, because you brought me clarity, because I didn't see it that way. So now I could explain it now better from how you interpreted it, and and show that it's a better understanding for myself, And
Yeah,
I'm
The
no,
good.
no,
people on
I
our
know.
live, I feel like the people on our live, I think that we all respect you and love you. And I mean, we'll never do that, what you're saying, because, and we're like that not only with you. I mean, we respect and love everyone that comes on ours.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about intentionally. Yeah, so let me clarify. I'm not saying that any of you would intentionally do that. What I'm saying is when you trust the flesh, that's when it will go left. And so again, I say this a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it until it just sticks. Like, if I'm married, and y'all know this, but if I'm at Starbucks and a 25, 30-year-old lady that I know, I don't care if I know her on TikTok or wherever. So I'm warning you now. You see me at TikTok and your car broke down, just know that an Uber is going to pick you up. You are not getting in my car. We are not driving around. I'm not taking you anywhere. And it's nothing personal. It's just that as soon as you think that you can trust your flesh, the intention of the people may be awesome. I know a lot of people whose intentions started off fantastic, and then it ended up going sour. And you're like, man, how could this happen? I don't know how to express it enough. How could it happen? It's very simple. You trusted the flesh. So you don't give the flesh a chance. That's what you do. You don't give your flesh a chance. Hey, can you give me a ride? No, you ain't getting in my car. Better not. I'll tell you what, here's $50. I'd rather my wife get mad that I gave too much money for an Uber. Right? So what I'm saying is I already know by using wisdom, I'm talking about God's wisdom, okay, that when people come in the live, even though the intentions are good to want to discuss what happened in another live, it's not okay all the time to discuss other people's lives. I'm sitting here telling you. So, I did it this one time, and to be honest with you, I really didn't go all the way through there. I just kind of wanted to at least go over a very shelled a way to express like at least a point of view or maybe a direction of the topic.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
did, because I was the one who was trying to explain it. So that gave me clarity for the next time if it does come back up on that live, that I have a better understanding of it and a better explanation on it, So that's why
Yeah.
it's to get a better understanding. And I agree with you 110% about giving a lift with this. We're called to be unreproachable. So even if our heart is in a good place to just help and bring somebody else, the minute somebody sees you putting another woman in your car, right away, their flesh starts going, look, he's playing his wife dirty. Look.
Yeah.
And then that whole cycle starts up with that. And I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And people that, like, let's just say that their issue is gossip. Let's say overall they're fantastic people, but for whatever reason, and it's funny when people say the spirit of gossip, but for fun, we'll say it, right? Let's just say the spirit of gossip is like their issue, right? Some people, it's the spirit of drinking, or I don't know, the spirit of picking your feet. I don't know, but you can call it whatever you want, but we know that it's
the sin of choice.
Yeah. But like I said, but just for fun, right? The spirit of gossip. But let's just say the person has an issue with gossip, and they happen to be the one seeing you with another woman in your car, and they know you're married. Look what you just did. Look what your choice just did. This person is not going to be able to keep their mouth shut. I'm sorry. Because that is one of their issues. Now, can they? Yeah, they could. So don't get me wrong. Miracles are real, but it's going to be pretty hard. But as soon as they tell someone and that gets a going, okay, that may be able to be stopped once or twice. But if you keep making decisions like that, it's the gossip alone that is just going to start this very weird calamity, or whatever you want to call it. So, of course, you cannot stop people from saying stuff, from gossiping. Of course not. But you can at least do your share of trying to. Okay, it's you can try. you know. And again, all this is about discussing what's happening in other lives. I mean, this ain't the first time. There's been plenty. Hey, well, the other day we're discussing, and first of all, I barely even knew this person. So, when Jess was saying, hey, it was me and Bill, I felt a little more comfortable, but I'm telling you right now, 95% of the time, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to be like, hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know, what happens in that live stays in that live, and let me be far from it. I wasn't there. I just so happened to discuss it this one time, but it's a rare occasion. In the future, probably not going to do it. And if I do, it'll be maybe just to point out a certain direction, because, everybody's in different areas, and pride is a beast, man, that you cannot tame. You cannot make pride your pet. That's what the Leviathan is talking about in the story of Job. It's talking about Satan, but more like pride is a offspring of Satan, pretty much like a byproduct, right? So pride, you can't tame it. And so if someone has only been saved 5 years, or let's say they've been saved for 20, but let's say they got descaled yesterday, so they're just starting to see things in a different way in the Bible. And now we're already, and again, you need to understand, there are people that do this on purpose. There are people that don't. But when you have someone that has a little more understanding, kind of saying, hey, that's not what that means. It means this. And they're talking directly to someone that was in a live. Now it's like you're directly attacking what the other person was saying. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. And so, if somebody brings up a topic and they don't say, oh, well, hey, what do you think about this? Well, they don't have to say that it was from another live, but I'm telling you, discernment's real. And a lot of times I can tell that a person was talking about it in another live, and they just want to come over here so the trot god can prove somebody wrong. Look, let me tell you, there is a lot of people who love to do that. And, it ain't hard to find them on TikTok. All you got to do is look them up, and you could tell them what somebody else said, and boy, they'll love to battle it out, that person's wrong, and I'm going to prove it why they're wrong. And I don't do that. Again, I'm not saying that was brought up intentionally, but I'm just letting you know in the future, just don't be surprised if I'm like, and that's another reason why we kind of stick on the shadows, right? So if somebody was to bring up a topic and I'm like, hey, that's not a shadow of Christ, we're probably not going to talk about that today. That's because we just talk about shadows 90% of the time. The digressings that occur, like this one, are rare, but when they do happen, most of the time they happen on their own time, and it's not really based on other people's lives. But, whatever is discussed in another person's life, and I wasn't there, then, I mean, it is what it is, right? Because somebody could misunderstand what was discussed in a live, and then they can come over here and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they're totally misunderstanding what those people are talking about over there. And then, oh, here goes Trot God correcting everybody. And I'm, you should know better is what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about you. I'm saying me. Every person individually should know the wiles of Satan, the carnal mind, the way he is, the way he thinks, the way he tries to get everyone to fight. You have to understand what he uses. And I'm telling you, this is a tactic that he uses, is try to get whoever you are to start talking about what other people are doing on TikTok. It's just another way to fight, debate, and then people get mad if you don't want to talk about it. And then at that point, I don't care, because I'm not talking about anybody on TikTok. I'm just talking about Christ in the Old Testament. Anybody that has a problem with that, well, that's on them. But anyway, I think we beat a unalived horse long enough. But I think Dre wanted to
let me tell you something
read
funny,
something. Bro. Oh, what?
Let me tell you something funny.
What?
So every time when I visit my mom's church, like if I'm away, like if I don't go visit in like like say I stay away for like 3 months or whatever, I don't go to the actual church, obviously not from my parents, but from the actual church. If I show up and I go to the service or they invite me to preach or whatever, my mom will always be like, for all the new people here that don't know, this is my son. So if you see me hugging and kissing on this grown man, it's my son. So don't go running to the pastor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't go to the pastor and say, "Oh man, she was hanging over this young, nice-looking man."
Yeah.
I bet every time you're like, "Oh my Lord, Mom, can you stop? God, can you stop?" Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, and yeah.
She tells them, bro. She tells them.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, that's
She's
understood,
like, if you
man.
see this, because my parents live literally across the street from their church. So it's like, if you see this man coming into my house.
Dang, he drives this vehicle. All the descriptions, he's 7'6". He's 8 foot tall. He's a short Nephilim. So the thing is, bro, y'all always make fun of me because I'm a short human. You and your son, y'all are just short Nephilims, bro. That's really what's really going on. Y'all are not tall humans.
And my mom started doing that with my son now too, Trap. So when my son comes to visit, because my son, he looks like a man now. So it's like, if you see me hugging on this young man right here, this is my grandson visiting.
She probably says, this young and handsome man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
she
heck
loves
yeah.
to. That's her spoiled grandson. That boy's so spoiled, bro. I'm like, man,
that's her.
Hey,
that's her Samuel.
Oh yeah, you know for sure. Yeah.
Hey, how do you say Samuel in Spanish?
Samuel.
That's my Samuel.
Yeah, let me tell them that story, because that is a funny story.
Oh yeah, tell it, dude. It's hilarious.
So if you guys know the story of Samuel, you know that his mother dedicated him to Eli, right, to the temple. And it was like, here, take care of my Samuel, she said to him. So when my son was getting recruited to play college basketball, the last basketball coach that came by from Phoenix, he came over and he visited with us and he ate with us. And my mom made him like traditional Venezuelan food for the coach. He loved it. And before he left, my mom made sure she stopped him. I mean, the coach is like taller than me, right? He's like a 6'4" guy. He stopped. Her little self stopped him, looked at him dead in the eyes, right? It was like, I'm just letting you know, coach, I'm going to send you my Samuel. You better take care of him.
Hey, that's how you know, bro, somebody's being dead serious. Like, bro,
yeah.
I can't tell you how many like family members looked at me in my face before we went overseas. Bro, they knew their family member was going to war and they were like, listen, look at your rank. Look at the rank you have, and you're just like, oh, here it goes. And you can't, come on, they want their family member to come back home and they're like, you better do everything you can to, I felt like I've been married 50 times, because it's like, you get married and they're like, you let the family members do a speech and they're like, I'm just going to let you know. And you're like, well, here it comes. Even though you may have combat experience, you've never dealt with me. And you better treat, again, they're joking, bro, but at the same time, they're not joking. They're like, you better treat this person right and this and that. I felt like I've got that speech has been given to me so many times. I'm taking, bro, I've taken guys to war, bro. They were 17 years old, dude. Can you imagine? Yeah. 17, right? And so, they turn 8, they're not old enough to drink or smoke, but they can give their life for their country, and they'll tell me that, and they're so sleazy. They're like, hey, Sergeant, they're like, hey, you think, do you think I could drink this liquor? And you're like, liquor? Like, bro, we're at war. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about liquor? Well, over there, these guys have liquor and, I could die tomorrow. And you're like, you little no, negative. We're not doing that. And they're like, well, can I smoke a cigarette? And you're like, dude, have you ever smoked a cigarette? They're like, no. Have you ever drank liquor? No. And you want to do it right now. Like, what if something happens and you're not there? You're not sober, dude. I know, but I could die. I'm like, oh my God, they done brainwashed this dude that before he, becomes unalive, he needs to smoke a cigarette. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, can we maybe do a different goal? Like, can there be another kind of goal in life?
Right.
And, you just, and they're like, well, I turned 18 in 2 weeks. I was like, okay, well then wait 2 weeks, bro. And then you can smoke a stogie. Okay. Can you wait 2 weeks? Oh man. And it's just like, oh my Lord. But before we left, it was, this is my son. He's not even 18 yet. And we're trusting him with your life. And you're like, yeah, you are. And you're just sitting there you're like, wow. So if one of these people become unalive, it's all my fault. It's a hard thing, man. It's not easy.
Let me tell you this,
that's what I picture though when you're when your mom's you listen here.
Oh yeah.
This is my son.
I was surprised. Listen, I thought she was gonna do like a short drill instructor and like pull out the foot locker and stand on it so she could be eyeball to eyeball with him, and tell him like, hey man, if something happens to this boy, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he really did like my mom though, because he ended up doing a jamboree, which was the only games my son played before he got injured. They played here in Denver, in Colorado, because he wanted to visit with my mom, and the whole team came to the church, and my mom made dinner for the whole team, and so my mom loves basketball, by the way, so that's like her favorite sport. So she's head over heels over my son and everything that he's doing. But it's funny because when my cousin went to Iraq, he was a cook in the army, and he ended up writing letters to everybody, the "If I Die" letter. I love you. All these things I've done to you.
Oh my Lord! As a cook, while he's making my brown eggs, he's over there writing letters like that. Oh my Lord!
Yeah.
I said, man, I said if I get green and brown eggs one more time, bro, and guess what? I sure did. I walked right in there. I said, listen, man, you guys got one job, bro. One job is to make eggs. That's it. I said, who's the egg guys? And they point. So like everybody has like their little task, right? You have a group that does breakfast, and then every few months they switch or whatever it is. And I went up there and I said, hey dude, come here. And he turns around, bro, and he's a sergeant. I said, bro, you're the egg guy? He goes, well, yeah, I got a group of 4 guys. We do the breakfast. I said, hey bro, I don't come over here and ask you for batteries. Okay. I don't ask you to put fuel in my car so I can go out there and find these turds out there. I just ask you to cook me eggs, man. And he goes, oh, man, come on, man. He's like, don't do that. I was like, bro, you're out here for one reason, bro. I said, is there any way we can get yellow eggs? And, he's like, hey, well, can I tell you why they're green or brown? I go, oh, my Lord. I was like, you know what? No, just never mind. And he goes, no, it's not a bad thing. It's just that some of the eggs that we use, it's a liquid or something. He's like, and it's getting old. So we have to mix it. We have to mix it with the new stuff, and so it's not going to come out yellow. I'm like, oh, I would rather if you just tell me to just walk it. I would rather if you tell me about face and get out of your face and forward march rather than you tell me the truth that why my eggs are brown and green. And I'm like, all right, just never mind.
It's a liquid. They put like I seen a video of it on TikTok. I didn't know that, by the way, but apparently that's how they make all the eggs, even through boot camp and all, like the massive amount of eggs. They got like this big bag that they put water in it, and then they shake it, bro, and shake it and shake it and shake it and shake it and shake it, and then they pour all them eggs inside of like a pan full of oil, bro. And I'm like, oh my God, that's disgusting, bro.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that stuff's made out of, but I tell you, when you're hungry, it sure does taste good with some salsa. I guarantee it.
Everything tastes good with some salsa when you
with some salsa. Yeah, but anyhow, enough of boring y'all about. Well, what's up?
I had a question.
Yeah.
First and foremost, good morning.
Morning.
My question to you is this: How did you handle that as being a person that overseed everyone on those missions, and some people didn't come home? And how? Yeah. I mean, I know it's off topic, but some of y'all come into other lives because I watch the door as folks come in and whatever, but I'm just asking because I think that for you it's hard when you heard this speech in the beginning and unfortunately this person is not coming home.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's actually really easy to answer now. It's been so long, but I never read the Bible. I started playing around with it when I was overseas. That's when I started kind of like reading it. So I'll just put it this way. I didn't have a big understanding about the Bible, in the midst of what you're asking. And I really don't like the answer that I'm going to give. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I think war was easier not understanding the Bible, because it was very easy for me to like just rub some dirt in it and move forward. So like if somebody of one of my peoples, if you want to say, if they became unalived, that happened yesterday. So we just moved on, and that was the end of it. But the truth, how do you handle it? To be honest with you, I don't remember even thinking about handling it. It was just whatever I had to do next. We just went out there and we did the next thing. And I really think.
Hold on, Charlie. That's a good question. How can a descaled Christian, like descaled tribe, go to Iraq and like unalive a whole bunch of people?
Yeah.
How would that work?
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, if I was literally descaled, I'm not really sure how I would handle that. I really don't, man, because it's the thought process of you now is just completely different. So I don't know how today, I'm not really sure how I would handle it, to be honest with you. But for someone who's not descaled and pretty much like new, like, well, I don't know, this earth place that we live on had to come from somewhere. That was as far as my understanding went. So it was really easy for me to say, after a incident, firefight is over, hey, let's do a head count. Okay, we got 2 down, like meaning 2 that are not going to ever be with us ever again. And it's like, all right, well, I need to get a person in his spot. We need another person over here, and let's go, Charlie Mike, continue mission. Let's move forward with what we're doing. And I never thought twice about what happened, like at all. And, so to be completely honest, I'm not really sure how I would have handled any of that in a descaled status. I mean, I hate to even say that, the whole thing sounds weird. But you also have to understand it's been approximately 20 years, since then. So it's been a minute, but very weird topic. But I will say this, if somebody was to go over there descaled, it'd be hard to turn that off, because, it's a very animalistic behavior, right? Like, that you're holding a weapon that's going to unalive someone. And then when you do, you still got, in law enforcement, right? If you have to use your weapon, like, you get time off. Like, you get through a situation, they're like, hey, calm down. Okay, we're going to take your gun from you. It's like, are you okay? And they're like, no, man, I saw my life flash before my eyes. They get time off. They get like days and weeks, some of them months. And then they get counseling, and before you get back in there, they're like, hey, are you sure you're good? Man, out there, it's like, hey, look at me, man. You good? I think so. All right, come on. And that's it. That was your counseling session. Like that.
Oh wow.
That's it. That's
well,
it.
you know what?
Hey.
Well, I'm sorry, Dre. The reason why I ask it is because when people are, you're more advanced than a lot of people in their walk. Okay, so just having to deal with that, if it's like you just stated, if you were to do that today, it will be different for you. So the question would be, would you go? Would you serve? Knowing what you know now.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. There's no way for me to know if I would go or wouldn't go. I have no idea. All I could do is say where my mindset was when I was over there and where it is now. But how, would it be the same? I have no idea. There is no way for me to know. There's people, you can meet.
Hold on, Charlie.
Oh, go ahead.
There is a movie trot of a young man who was descaled. I don't know if you remember the name of the movie. It's called Ridge, something Ridge, Mountain Ridge, or something like that. I'd look up the name, but the young man was this is real life story, by the way. He was a descaled, basically a descaled
You're talking,
Christian,
you're talking
and
the
he's
medic?
like, I am not.
You're talking about the medic?
I don't think it's
Hacksaw
called.
Ridge.
Is it
That's the
called?
movie. I just saw that
What
last
is it
week.
called?
Hacksaw Ridge.
No, was he a medic?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay,
No,
I
he was
haven't.
not a medic.
No, he wasn't.
I don't think so, bro. I think he was
Oh.
because they wanted him to carry a gun. He's like, absolutely not. he saved he saved his whole platoon, man, with no
Yeah, I
gun
think,
ever.
Hacksaw
Never
Ridge.
shot one weapon.
Yeah, bro, I think he was I could be wrong. Okay, whatever. But either way, the point
What's
is
the
he
name
didn't
of the
want to
movie?
carry.
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, but
Hacksaw
either way,
Ridge.
what you're saying is he didn't want to carry a weapon. That's what you're saying.
He almost got NJP'd and kicked out because of it. Because he was like,
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
going to carry a weapon, bro. They tried to make him a boot camp, even like march with, you march with your weapon. He's like, no. He's like, I am not.
He said he ain't even going to march with it.
He said, no. He said, absolutely not. And then they sent him to war. And this man, did an amphibious landing with no weapon. I'm like, this dude is crazy. The whole time I watched it, I'm like, this dude is nuts, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, he saved like his whole platoon. He was a healer, not a war bringer, I guess. But it was interesting, to be honest. It's a good movie.
Hey, but that movie that I saw, Sound of Freedom, man. I mean, if I was to go out there and save children, hey, put me on the front line. You know what I'm saying? Because that's messed up, dude.
Yeah.
If it came to children, I mean, what would you do? I mean, if you guys seen that movie, what is that? Machine Gun Preacher. He for some reason,
The Machine Gun Preacher.
My goodness.
Hey, but
Have you ever seen that movie,
that's a
Todd?
true story. That's
Yeah,
a true story, man.
No, y'all brought this up. No, y'all brought this up. Y'all brought up the Machine Gun. What? Flip.
Yo,
Where you at, bro?
He's in his car.
I'm right here, dude.
I don't see his photo. Oh, okay, I see it. Why do you look like Raiden?
Samurai, bro.
He's like, I'm War of Lightning. But no,
but
no,
Flip
y'all
is
listen
mixed,
real
so
quick.
he's
Hey,
like
real quick. No,
27.
listen, y'all brought up the shotgun preacher or machine gun preacher or whatever he was.
Machine Gun Preacher, yeah.
Y'all brought it up one time and I checked it out. Maybe I didn't give you feedback. It's the guy that plays Leonidas in 300.
Yep, that's him.
Gerald
it.
Butler or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I saw it. I thought the movie was, I don't know, man. It was just really weird to me, the movie. It was very weird, But I understand it, obviously. Hey, y'all give me something. Give me a second, just real quick.
But yeah, man. I mean, if you were to save children, I mean, would you?
I don't think you have a choice,
Yeah,
in
you
my
cry.
opinion.
Right. That's it's a
No, I'm pissed, man.
no.
They, they,
There's been a lot of lives going on this weekend in regards to a news story that's out, and there are people on the opposite side that said that it was all a scam, that it was all this and this and this, but other people are looking at it exactly how you're stating it. If you see a child walking, you see a child that's lost, you see a child that's giving you the hand sign for human trafficking, what are you going to do? And then you compound that with being a Christ follower. So what are you going to do? And people don't understand. There's two ways you can do it: as being a mother, being a parent, being a decent human being. You are going to instinctively do it. And then there's other people who would just stay they tell you how to stay in your car, do the flashing lights and all that stuff, but your instinct is to get out. But we live in a world now, by getting out, it can have you possibly trafficked. It can have you possibly this. And then that's why one of the reasons why I love coming to Trot's Live, because he brings a world perspective to real world events and how people are supposed to maneuver, because we're in this live, but life is lifing outside of this live. There's no way for you to avoid it. And you need, for me, I try to find a balance, because I send Dre only certain lives that he sees where I'm mostly at. And then there are other lives where you joke around. But the fact of the matter is, relationships between men and women are important besides our relationship with Christ. And so knowing how to handle them both and putting God first in everything that you do is important. Now, if I'm wrong, someone please address it.
Well, let me ask you this, misunderstood. What is your
Yes.
thought process on what did you think about that young man in Chicago that unalived the guy in that food store? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the son.
Yeah. How did you
Okay.
see that?
I saw that as him protecting his mother. I didn't see it like everybody said. She texted her son. She did this because, Dre, if you don't know, I help men come home from prison. Okay, so when I saw the man who hit his mother, his stance, his whole outer body you instinctively knew that she wasn't going to be able to leave. He had her cornered. And then this man was so enraged that he assumed that this woman was talking to him when she was talking to her son at the door. Now,
Be-
people are going to say, "Oh, that's not right. He shouldn't have did that." Her as a mother put more trauma on her son. But the question is, as a man, as your son seeing his mother and you weren't able to be there, would you fault your son? Drake, because I don't have a son. I have daughters.
yeah.
So so how would so would you fault your son for doing that?
Um so this is a very complicated question because of the way that things went down there. Like I am one personally. I like to descale and de-escalate things as much as I can. I've been in places in Chicago, like my family's from down there, and I'm from South Florida, so I know conflict very well in South Florida. It's like a constant thing. So you could either add to the situation or you could take away from the situation. So, in my opinion, I wish the mom would have just like completely been like, just stay silent. Just be like, you know what, this guy is crazy. Like he's nuts, obviously. And then later on, got him down the line. But I didn't have to look at the thing more because um, it looked like the son unalived the guy outside of the store. So it wasn't like he was already outside of the store and he chased him down and popped him. Is that correct?
Watch the video. I don't want I don't want to taint it for you because you'll hear other versions of it. It's just like you possibly heard that she was texting her son to come in and bring in is the pew pew. He was already
Yep.
in the doorway. He was already
Okay.
there. So, it's a lot, and this is why people need to it basically to see the situation. And yes, I understand what you're saying in regards to her de-escalating, but she wasn't talking to him. He wanted her to just move out of his way, and all she was doing was getting her food. And then if she wanted to leave, if you watch it, she had no place to go. And that's people's argument because there are other men who are not following like you that gave that reason, but they gave it in a cowardice way. And
Oh yeah, no,
so,
I've seen those. I've seen those. Like I don't blame the kid because the kid he's a young man. You know, he did what he thought was right, and that's why he didn't get like that's why he got all the charges were dropped, obviously. But I'm just like I wish that he didn't have to go through that. I'm thinking about the kid. Like, why do two adults put a kid in that situation? You know, because he has no reason to unalive somebody at 14 years old, was he?
yes,
Why is a 14-year-old having to unalive a grown man that's because his mom's getting food and this whole situation is going down. See what I'm saying? Like, I think about him. Forget about the grown-ups. Like, my mom always tells me that, like, why are these grown-ups putting children in situations like this? Like, where's the maturity? Where is the God? Where is the staying out of your belly? You know, like, if you stay out of your belly, this man can say whatever he wants and it's not going to affect you,
But
and
the
vice
question,
versa.
but the question is, even if she was not to say anything, if you saw the video, you saw his aggression, you saw the stance. That stance is he wasn't going to let her go. He was just released 13 days ago from beating up the woman he was with in the store who was encouraging him.
Yeah, no, listen. I'm not saying he is right at all. That is
No, no, no,
not
no.
what I'm saying.
I'm stating for the woman because all as you saw in those other lives, all the other men would have said she should have kept her mouth shut. She should have not said anything. She should have.
What are y'all talking about?
I'm gonna send you the video, Trot. You
Yes.
former law enforcement, you will see the video, and you know I send you videos all the time because
Yeah.
I'm like I like to see your stance on it because you are
Yeah.
law enforcement. Because I never see it from a law enforcement perspective. I always see it from the civilian perspective. Like, this is
Oh, okay.
wrong.
I see. Yeah. Well, let me say this about videos, and I'm telling you, man, I've probably not seen every video. Obviously, I don't have the time to watch every one of them. But dude, I've seen at least, I don't know, maybe 50, 60% of controversial videos, and I'll tell you what I've learned so far on this app, and this is from both sides, right? Because anytime you see a video, regardless if what you're seeing is true or not, the devil's advocate part has to come out, right? So if you see someone doing something bad to a police officer, right? Let's say all you see in the video is a police officer getting beat down by a civilian. I'm not going to just say, oh, how dare that man beat up that cop. Where's the rest of the footage? That's what I'm going to say. Where's the rest of the footage? What led up to this? Now, single-minded police officers would be like, what does it matter? You don't hit a cop. Okay, well, I'm not advocating to hit a cop or not to hit a cop. At the moment, I want to see the full video. And it's funny, you get ridiculed because you want to see the full video. Everybody wants to pull on your emotions based on what they're showing you. And that is called a lie. You don't show somebody part of the story and then you want them to get worked up based on what you're seeing. And that's what society is pushing. So to get the police officers, like families and them upset, they just show the man beating up the cop. And the same, it goes for the other side. You'll see a cop hitting a man with the baton and you'll hear, how dare you hit that man with the baton? I'm like, where's the rest of the video? Let me tell you what I've learned. 90% of videos you see on TikTok are hogwash. You need to be very careful what you're watching. Now, notice I said 90%. That means 10% of them is pretty much the full video from start to finish, pretty much. Not all, but about 10% of them. So 90% of what you're watching is not the truth. And let me tell you, you want to test your spirit, test the spirits yourself. I'm talking about yourself. Watch a video and see if you get mad. If you get mad, you might be worshiping your belly more than you do God, because God will tell you what's the truth. Your belly would say, well, my feelings are bothered and I'm mad, rather than what's the truth of this full video. So I don't listen to either side. I don't care if I was in law enforcement or not. If you don't show me the full video, I'm not giving you my opinion, because you're only showing me what you want me to see, which obviously is not the truth, and therefore I'm not watching it. Now, if I see the whole video, then I could say, okay, well, I could see what happened. That's why I want to watch the full video, because I can see what happened. Oh, now I see why that cop's getting beat up. I see why now. See, at first it was just the dude beating up the cop. Like if the guy's going to put the dude in handcuffs and he just turns around and start hitting. That's not what happened. What happened is and I'm not going to tell you what video I'm talking about, but the dude knows the cop. See, there was a video that was shown to me and I didn't get the full story. In this full story, these two people knew each other. And let's just say there was a serious conflict of interest of this one police officer trying to put handcuffs on this person. They knew each other very well. And so while he's putting handcuffs on him, let's just say that in this instance, the officer had done some things personally wrong to this individual. We're talking about in the civilian world. We're not talking about law enforcement or none of that. So when he went to go put handcuffs on him, he's purposely like twisting the handcuffs. He's hurting the guy. Now, first of all, I'm telling you right now, don't hit a cop. That'd be the dumbest mistake you'd ever make. But of course, this guy being a stupid dude, he turned around and started, hitting the police officer. But there's a story to that. He shouldn't have been the cop putting him in cuffs. That's the whole point. There should have been somebody else putting him in handcuffs. But instead, this cop put him in cuffs and this dude's already mad at him. And so it was a personal thing, but obviously he's going to catch charges because he's beating up a police officer. That's
So basically, Chart, is what you're stating. There's no context. So when there's no context to what truly happened, everything can get misconstrued.
Yeah, and that's why you see people get mad and start rioting and burning down the city, because on purpose they are being shown like 20% of a clip. Where's the other 80%? And so you can see it happening on purpose, because watch this. How come it takes a year or two later and now we see the full clip? So watch this. Trust me. I understand. I've been there, done that. Look, I understand that there's footage that cannot be shown, right? Because it's in court and all this. Look, okay, so watch this. So then it's a good idea to show a piece of the clip? That's a good idea? No, my friend, that's the dumbest thing that you could do, is to show a small clip that you already know, unless you don't have any brain cells left in your brain, for you to make me believe that you don't know that a certain group of people, based on who's in the footage, because it could be skin color, it could be culture, there's a lot of factors, but whoever is in this footage, I don't care whoever's in there, that group is going to get upset. And so how is it 2023 and we still haven't learned that if you don't show the full clip to give everybody a chance to understand what they're watching, you just show a piece of the clip that makes people burn down cities? What does that say? You know what that says?
Manipulation.
Well, first of all, it is a form of manipulation. But what it shows is the majority of people are stupid. That's what it shows. Yeah. It literally proves it right there, that all I have to do is show a certain amount of clip and I can control other people's emotions. That's why we always talk about the belly. Don't get in your belly. Not that anybody's perfect, but to understand where your emotions come from, they don't come from God in that way. And so when someone can do something to you, say something to you, and I'm not talking about physically touching. I'm talking about there was an act that happened, maybe stole, 20 grand from you or 50 grand from you, or they're screaming at you or cussing you out, or just show you a video. Notice nobody's touching you, but they can show you something or say something to you to make you act out of character that way. And we're not supposed to. This is not how we are supposed to be as people. We're not supposed to be this way. But this is where a lot of people are, and it's because they worship their feelings. That's the problem. People worship their feelings, and when you worship your feelings, you're going to catch yourself on the other side more than not, because you still ain't figured out that there are people out here that they understand. That they understand, they have an understanding, and the other.
It's about triggers.
Okay, that's
Try,
fine.
look at the comment. Look at the comment. It says colonizers' descendants got a price to pay. Prepare for the wine press.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Jesus is nor God. Jesus is coming. Execute. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always going to be, people that have comments and things like that. But oh well. But what I'm saying is, when you show someone on purpose, now I understand that it's not always the motive, but a lot of times it is. It's a motive. You know what? I'm going to show this person on purpose this little clip. You know why? Because they're the puppet master and they know they can make you dance. And the quicker you figure it out, the quicker you can figure it out that, hold on a second, emotions are mine, and I'm supposed to learn, I need to learn how to harness those emotions. They're mine. As soon as you learn that, you take the power away from the puppet masters. But if you don't learn that, you'll be burning cities down to the day you become unalive. And you'll teach other people to do it, because instead of teaching them to worship Christ, Christ said, believers in me, out of their belly will flow rivers of living water. Instead of teaching people that, you teach them how to not harness their emotions. You teach them to go off their emotions, and whatever their emotions tell you to do, you do it, which means they're teaching you to worship Satan, because your carnal mind is the seed of Satan, and the seed of Satan is physical. Everything in this world is based on what your five senses can operate in, what you can see, taste, smell, feel, those things. But those things do not recognize God. Only faith does, which is Christ. Christ is faith. So a lot of these, what?
I said, yeah, that's why we test every spirit, test the spirits.
Yeah, and so, you know, trust me, I get it. I understand, but if I don't get the full clip, if I do not get the full clip, then I don't even make a statement. Every time if somebody goes, what do you think about this? And it's 20 seconds. I said, I think you're a fool for watching it. That's what I tell them. And people get mad at me. And I said, I don't care. You're a fool to even watch that clip, because it doesn't tell you what happened. What do you mean? You see it happening? No. I see what you want me to see. But because I was in law enforcement, I at least have a little more sense than that. There's always more to the table. Now, if the full clip is sent to me and they're like, see, it was like, but here we go again. You still were playing the guessing game. So even if it came out true that the officer was either wrong or the civilian was wrong, even if it came out true after I get the full clip, it's still foolish to make a decision based on 20 seconds. When the clip is 5 minutes long, it's still foolish, because like I said, 90% of the time, it's not correct. Now, you might have seen somebody getting hit, but when you see the full context of the clip, you're like, I see exactly why this person is hitting, whether it's a cop or not. Now I understand why there's a bunch of hitting going on. And it's just, you know, it's just not wise. It makes no sense. So anytime somebody sends me a clip and it's 20 and they're like, look at this bad person, I'm like, okay, you're a fool for watching that.
It was like in Milwaukee, I sent you some of that videos, but there was an issue where they kept showing like young African-American men, young boys, that would like wild out with the cops. Like they'd be losing it every time they got cuffs put on them, but they would only show that part. But what the investigation proved was that these cops were doing like full cavity searches on these boys, like literally touching on them while they were cuffed up. And eventually they would only record the part where the kid is acting up, but they weren't recording the part where the cop had really no right to stick his finger in those types of places, in those cavities.
Yeah, and exactly. It goes both ways. So there's never perfect civilians and there's never perfect cops, period.
100%.
So
100%.
So you don't choose one over the other just because you so happen to be one. Like, so for instance, if somebody
one
was
or
never
the
in law,
other.
You what?
I said people would choose according to whether they were or weren't. So like if you're a cop or have a family that's a cop, you like tend to ride with the cop regardless of looking at context, and vice versa, right?
Yeah, and vice versa, right? So it'd be smart to do what the Bible says, and don't allow your emotions to take over. Which means the only way that your emotions can take over so quickly if it's a lie. That's the only way. So harness your emotions, get out of your belly, and ask questions. Hey, hold on a second. Where's the rest of the video? It's funny that when you say, where's the rest of the video, the person that's showing you this video, they get mad at you. They'll be like, what? How dare you? I start laughing. I say, hold on. So me or you, neither one of us has seen the full clip, and we're already fighting? You're already mad at me? You're already mad at me. Neither one of us has seen the full clip, which means that this person is drawing to a conclusion based on something else, not based on truth. And so now your emotions are worked up and we don't even know if anything happened or not. We don't even know if
Right.
something happened or not in your emotions. But anyway, hey, what did you? Let's read something you wanted to read out of the Bible real quick because I think we still got 15, 20 minutes.
Ezekiel 23:20.
Ezekiel 23:20.
Yeah.
Let me
And
see.
I was just, when I was reading it, it had the same ASS word for the donkey, but I looked into the original Hebrew and it was a male one. But in English, it's the same. So people could probably read that if they don't understand it, and they might think that it's the same thing that we talk about, or like Saul chasing all the donkeys, or Balaam's donkey, without looking at context.
Yeah. Go ahead. Are you gonna just start at 1 and read on, or what?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't know if we have the time for it.
No, I mean, okay. Well, I heard you say Ezekiel 23. What verse did you say?
20, verse 20.
Oh, 20.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, but where's the one that says what verse talks about the whore? Did I go too far down?
It's further up. It's up.
It's 19. 19.
Yeah.
Look, let me start at 15 because it's talking about girded the loins, right?
Yep.
So that's a very important phrase, or it might be 13. Hold on.
15.
Then I saw defiled. They look both one way. They increase the whoredoms, for they, when she saw men trade upon the wall, images portrayed. It says, let's see, 15, girded with the girdles upon their loins exceeding. Died. It's a princess. Yeah, you know what, bro? Man, it's been so long. Man, this is actually a good one, dude. There's so many in the Bible I forget, dude. This is actually a good one.
Talk about this one tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, we can. I'll say this. You just have to remember, right? Like there's two of everything in the Bible. And there's two types of asses, and that's we're talking about donkeys. And just for context, if there's anyone that's listening in that hasn't heard us talk about the female donkeys in the Bible, mostly you'll hear the ones being brought up that are kind of known, like Balaam's donkey. It's a female. The donkey is a she, right? And it's not a coincidence because it's referring to wisdom. And I know it's not easy to see at first because nobody glorifies the symbol of a donkey as wisdom in the Bible. They like to keep the depiction of the dove, right? Because the dove is the spirit, right? But the dove that Noah sends out, it's a she, it's a female, and it's referring to wisdom. Wisdom is noted to us as a female in the Old Testament, in the Word anyway. So the dove is a female. Balaam's donkey is what?
Proverbs talks about wisdom as a female. If you haven't read Proverbs 1 through 31, please, I recommend you do that today.
Yeah. Proverbs big time tells you to seek her as silver. And it's talking about a treasure, but it's referring to the wisdom of God. Okay. But it calls it a her, and it does it for a reason. And it's because of how Christ writes wisdom into certain stories. It's truly amazing. But we see it in Balaam's donkey. So Balaam's donkey is just not, first of all, in real life, it really was a donkey. Okay. But it's not a coincidence that the donkey's a female. And then the spirit opens the mouth of the donkey and the donkey speaks, but it's a she. It's referring to wisdom. It's wisdom speaking to Balaam. It's not the donkey's brain. This is where it gets confusing, because it's like, wow, God made a donkey speak. Well, what you really have to understand is it's wisdom speaking to Balaam. And the dove that Noah sends out 3 times, it's a female because it's representing wisdom. It knows when the water is abated. That was the purpose of sending and it says that she found no place to rest the sole of her feet. And it is referring to when Jesus receives the Spirit that's in the shape of a dove, like a shape of a dove, because now she found a place to rest the sole of her feet. That was the whole point of Noah sending out a dove, because it was a prophecy that she was going to find a place to rest, and Christ is it, because he's the only thing that's life. If you remember, the dove was sent out of the ark to find life. It doesn't depict it that way. It talks about finding she went out to let Noah know if there was, life, or if there was the water abated.
Safe passage.
Yeah. So, but she comes back, lo and behold, and in her mouth was an olive branch. Oh man, what was that? Oh, that was my dog. But, the she-bear, the prophet, the bald-headed prophet, it says that these young men were mocking the bald-headed prophet. And you have to be able to see, everything has to be able to be seen. Like, only the Spirit is mocked, number one. So they're mocking the bald-headed man. The hair in the Bible represents faith. So this man was, quote unquote, bald-headed, and they were mocking him. It's a depiction of being mocked, of being a believer, that you have no faith and you're weak. And so it's the same thing that's happening. So it's just a coincidence that the bear that came out to devour the young man was a female. So, I understand it's not easy to see, because most of the time you don't meet people that's explaining the Bible this way, which is very sad, to be honest. But here again in Ezekiel 22, this is, hold on, is it 22 or 23? Hold on.
23.
Yeah, 23. So it's talking about adultery. It's talking about a whore. But there's only two females in the Bible, and that's the bride and the whore. Okay, now, yes, there's a lot of women that are mentioned in the Bible, but there's only two females, and one of them is a whore, one of them is the bride. If you're saved, you're the bride of Christ. If you're not, then you're the whore, pretty much. And it's the easy way that Christ is kind of showing us the difference, because if you're not saved, then you've committed spiritual adultery. And so in order to be saved from adultery, I don't want to go through the 10 Commandments, but when it says, thou shalt not unalive, thou shalt not, and when you go through the 10 Commandments, when you turn those, it's not you, but when you see what God is actually saying spiritually, have we ever went over the 10 Commandments spiritually? No?
We have not.
Well, no, man. There's so much to go over, but we definitely need to go over that. And so I'll at least go over the first one. Thou shalt not unalive. There's only one way to do that. That's why in the Bible it tells us, where it says, if you cause one of these little ones to sin, if you cause one of these, it's talking about people that are not saved. That's what it's talking about. It's not just talking about physical kids. I went to go watch Sound of Freedom, and it's talking, he repeats the verse, that if you hurt one of these little ones, may a stone be wrapped around your neck and you be thrown into it, even though that's true. But spiritually, it's talking about you teaching another person to sin spiritually rather than bringing them to life. So it's talking about anyone, not just physical kids. It's talking about anybody, any human, because any human is an orphan of God. They don't have a father, and Jesus is the Father, even though people don't like saying that. But fine, you can say God is the Father if that makes you feel better. But a widow is not just a female in this world. If all of us are the bride of Christ, then that means if you're not saved, you're a widow spiritually. So when the Bible says, thou shalt not unalive, or y'all should know not to say the K word, right? The K-I, you know how it's spelled. You're not supposed to say that word on this app. Apparently they don't like that word, but so we say the word unalive. But thou shalt not unalive, right? It's talking about spiritual. It doesn't mean that it negates the physical. Of course, you're not supposed to physically unalive anyone, but it's talking spiritual. And a lot of those commandments, when you go over them spiritually, it makes so much more sense on what God is trying. It's us, the carnal mind, that's not understanding what God is telling us spiritually. I'm not saying you don't understand it physically. We all do. But the spiritual notations of the 10 Commandments are actually pretty amazing. But we're going to read tomorrow. We're going to read Ezekiel 23, where it talks about the adulterers or the whores in there, and Dre brought it up because it's talking about donkeys, which there's obvious reasons why it's talking about donkeys, just like why Saul went searching for the donkeys. Context matters, and the gender of the donkey matters, like big time. But Bill, what's
So
going
hold
on, man?
on. Just a quick nugget.
Yeah.
So Saul went chasing she donkeys because he was chasing wisdom,
Yeah.
and the harlot went chasing male donkeys because he was chasing the depravity of the world.
That's possible. That's possible. That's possible. Me no give answers right now. But I will say this, though. I'm glad you brought this one up. See, there's a lot of things. Have we talked?
And you got to say, heifer thou plow, but no answer you get.
Yeah, but no answer they get. Hey, so let me say this, though. Have we went over the man in the white linen with the inkhorn by his side in Ezekiel?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
The man in the white linen with inkhorn by his side. Have we went over that in Ezekiel?
Oh, no, we have not. We haven't gone through anything in Ezekiel. This is the first thing ever.
Well, I got to stay. I think I'm going to start going through Ezekiel a little bit. You got to be careful because a lot of it meshes with Revelation, and I don't feel led at all to talk about anything, to be honest with you, in Revelation. So that's why it makes me laugh when I hear people talking about Revelation. I'm like, oh my Lord, like there's so many things that they're not even bringing up. Like they're literally just going to Revelation and talking about it. And I'm like, dude, man, Revelation's no joke. You know, watch this. Think about how hard the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, think about how hard, bro, they studied the Old Testament. And when Jesus came, they didn't know who he was. And then people take the book of Revelation and they don't even understand what I'm talking about. And it's not me. Jesus wrote the Bible this way. They don't even understand the importance of the female animals. They don't understand any of that. And they're over here jumping to Revelation. They don't understand land, soil, desolation. None of that is put together. And they go from the book of Daniel to Ezekiel, Revelation, and none of the other notes, if you will. You know, you'll hear someone talk about the book of Revelation, and I can't hear one tune the whole time while they're talking. Like there's no notes being played. Like, you know, just sounds like a 8-year-old grabbing a guitar for the first time and just strumming the bad boy. You know, no notes, no chords, nothing, you know. Just sound like a bunch of loud cymbals hitting each other. You know, it's not. But let me say this. It's pretty much about to be 10 misunderstood, or Bill, if y'all got something to say, CJ, Dre, whoever.
It's the Jesus chord, right?
The Jesus chord. Yeah. It's
Jesus.
Yeah, David's. Yeah, that's what it is. The Jesus. Yeah.
Tune in Zechariah in order to put it all together.
And Zechariah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the first way to finding that tune, I was going to say the first way to find that tune is to understand what instrument David was playing.
Yep.
That is the first step of finding the tune, man. And people's like, it was a harp. Okay. What's the harp represent in the Bible? That's very important. If you can't see that, you're not going to pick up any tunes, any notes. Nothing's going to make any sense. It's just a bunch of gibberish. You're going to be like Delilah telling Samson that he's lying to her, and the whole time Samson didn't lie. That's another pill to swallow. It's like, yeah, he did. Nope, no, he didn't. Samson didn't lie. But
Is the heart a representative of his heart, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
Is it?
well, yeah, but see, but that's seen whenever the parable of the sower is understood, and then when the Garden of Eden is understood, and then the ark, both arks, the Ark of the Covenant, Noah's Ark, why they went everywhere with it, why they faced the east, why God appeared on it with the two cherubims, all that, when all that is understood, then you can understand what David was using, you know, what he was thrumming, what he was cunning at, right? There's two cunnings. Satan is cunning. David is cunning, right? They're both cunning, but one's doing it for the will of God and the other one's doing it for their own personal will, being cunning about something very specific, right? And so, you know, but all those things just lead to further understanding on what Jesus was writing down. You know, that's why Jesus said to the scribes and the Pharisees, he said, you search the scriptures to find life. Man, think about it. If you were to tell someone today, is there life in the Bible? And they go, yes. And the scribes and the Pharisees would say the same thing. Hey, is there life in these scriptures? Oh, yes. And Jesus mocked them and he said, you search for life in the scriptures, but they contest of me, he said. And so the Old Testament is all they had. They didn't have the New Testament. And the Old Testament contest of Christ. And then you'll tell someone, hey, they contest of Christ. They're like, oh, yeah, it's full of it. But yet they can't share hardly any of it. They'll share 10 scriptures and they can talk about it for 5 minutes. And then after that, they run out of ammo. You shouldn't run out of ammo. If you can find Christ in the Old Testament, you should be able to talk nonstop forever and never stop. So when someone can only do it for 5 minutes, something is wrong. That means they only see 5 minutes worth of Jesus. Jesus said the Old Testament contested him. And that's why the show is called Descaled, because everyone needs to be like Paul or Saul of Tarsus. You need to be able to see Jesus in the Old Testament, period. But anyhow, it's pretty much 10. Thank y'all again for coming in. We will see y'all today. Hey, believe it or not, today we had about 600 people, and the majority of them stayed in for about an hour. So that's one of the that's one of the biggest ones that we've had so far. But anyhow,
without
we're gonna go
one
ahead.
one of the biggest ones we've had without bringing in Hebrew Israelites and law keepers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You bring about one of them in, you're gonna have 10,000 people in here real quick, ready to see the Jerry Springer show. So anyhow, so tomorrow we'll bring up we'll talk about what Dre brought, which was Ezekiel 23, and we'll pretty much read the whole thing and just kind of go over what's being said there. So we'll have fun with that. So anyway, 2-a-days. Oh yeah, I think today is the first 2-a-days, Dre.
Today's Monday. At what time are we doing it?
Dang man. Where's my little pamphlet thing? Let me see. Hey, what's a better time for everybody? I know I got to be off. around 6, so we can do 4 to 6 or what?
Yeah. 3 to 5 for me. That's fine.
Okay, so guys, Central Time. So
I'll still be at work, so it doesn't matter to me. I just have to, because I live on the West Coast, so either I'm going to get up at 5:30 in the morning, or I'm going to listen to 5:30 in the morning is better for me to try to get into the box.
Yeah, right.
So it's fine with me. But I'll listen.
Last time you brought it up, you go, okay, fine, I'll just wake up.
And today my alarm didn't go off until 6:30, and I was so mad.
That's all right. Hey, it's okay. You got a little extra sleep in. It's all good. But so today, Central Time at 4:00. Central Time. Don't forget, 4:00. We're gonna do a 2-a-day, 4 to 6. And depending on how it goes, Dre, you want to? No, we'll talk about the Ezekiel thing in the morning. Let's keep that way.
Yeah, let's keep Ezekiel to the morning, because I think that's when we concentrate better on some of the deeper stuff.
Yeah. So guys, we're starting 2-a-days today. I'm glad, Jordan. Thank you so much for reminding me, man. I totally forgot. But yeah, you're 100% right. So
5 p.m. Eastern time, correct?
Well, let me just say this. Look, so we don't cause confusion. I don't want to throw a bunch of numbers out there. Look,
It
4
is.
o'clock
It is.
Central Time. 4 o'clock Central Time. Whatever time frame you're in, it's your own job. Do your own homework to figure out if you got to Google it 50 times to confirm it, then do that. But I'm not going to throw all the numbers out there and cause confusion. Central Time, 4 o'clock. We'll start our 2-a-days today, and it'll be for 2 hours from 4 to 6. So whatever, and again, 4 to 6 Central Time. And I'll see y'all in a few hours. I think I got to go mow the grass. We can't do math. Listen to this.
That's funny.
Hey, y'all better learn.
I
Y'all
didn't
better
know
learn.
online. I didn't know zone time.
You know what? You know what, Trent? I have a question in regards to your, it's your afternoon live. Are you going to do it similar as you do? It's your morning live, or are you going to use? Because I was just speaking to Dre about this, just as you were, handling your business on mute, in regards to the Bible and how it works, how it can be utilized today in regards to worldly events and relationships and things of that nature to give, because there will be a lot of more young people, some millennials that may be able to come in to the live and learn, because as you guys see, if you guys see any lives that I'm in and you hear the talk, and I know it's just like, I can't believe how they're thinking like this, but to put it in a worldly perspective based off of Bible that might benefit them, if that makes sense, if I'm articulating that correctly, because I know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully,
okay.
Are you
saying kind of like being a mentor or a life coach for Christians?
Well, no, because life coaches, they're not too bright. But I give you way more credit than that.
But we're talking about spirit-filled life coaches, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like for instance, like if there was first of all, let me say this: I have dozens of young men, and when I say dozens, I'm not kidding, like dozens. I wish I could talk to them every day. It's just too many people, so. I have certain days that certain people, and then I do have a very small handful that I told them they can text me or call me whenever they want. And it's a very small handful of them. The majority of them, I tell them, listen, there's only one of me. So on this day, if you want to talk or text on this day, this is the day that you can do it. And because I don't have time to talk to 50 people a day. I don't. I'm sorry. And that's one thing that I've learned. That's just one thing that I've learned with people that, they're very giving and they want to help people. They try to. And first of all, let me say this. It's a choice. If you want to only mentor one person, you can. If you want to mentor 50,000, you can. And I'm talking about them having your cell phone, and you walking them through whatever they're going through. You're walking, you're mentoring them or you're discipling them. Discipleship is a daily thing, man. Discipleship is not just you talking for an hour or two and people just hear what you have to say and there's no intimacy there. Discipleship, there is intimacy. You actually are walking through some of these things with certain people, and I only can do that with so many. I'm just one person. So if you're asking if, and I'm using the word life coach, I'm only using that word because in today's society, in today's age, people know what that word means. That's the only reason why I'm using that word. So, me and Dre, we've talked a little bit on how we're going to handle the 2-a-day live. I'm not saying that we're not going to talk about shadows, but we'll just say that we're just playing it by ear a little bit. 100% of a decision hasn't been made, but I will say this real quick. And me and Dre's already talked about this, and I already know that there's going to be people that's not going to like it. And to be quite honest, I really don't care. But there are people that like to give, and I need to say this. And I am not the kind of person that talks about tithing. I can't stand it because I know what it ends up being. I don't believe in people giving their money. I don't believe in that at all, not even a little bit. But for whatever reason, you can tell people not to do it and they'll do it anyway. And I tried. And I'm going to say this because y'all need to know. Anytime that I choose to subscribe to someone's channel on YouTube, I have never been charged to do that. You just hit the subscribe button and you subscribe. That's simple. And so on this app, in my mind, why would that not be the same? Well, apparently, in order to subscribe, you have to like pay a couple of dollars or whatever it is. Well, I didn't know that. So when I put the little subscribe thing on there, I think Jordan was messing with me, and I think he knows where I stand on tithing and all that. But he's like, hey, he was like, hey, thanks for letting me know I need a tithe to you or something. I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, the subscription. And I'm like, so I think it was Jordan. He's the one that pointed out, bro, like on TikTok, you have to pay to subscribe. And I'm like, oh my Lord, like why I don't have to pay on YouTube? Like, how come I can't just subscribe to someone's channel? It's ridiculous. Well, anyway, here on this app, you have to pay. So I announced immediately, hey, guys, see, the only reason why I did that is because I created a grit tab, and I believe in grit 100%. And I said, hey, guys, if you hit the subscribe button, you get a grit tab. No, you don't. You got to pay for it. So I told everybody, hey, we're not doing that. Well, people started doing it anyway. And so I've already said it a few times and people don't care. They're doing it anyway. So I told Dre, hey, bro, so we had a discussion about it. And this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to announce that, guys, the subscription was there just so everybody can get one of those grip tabs. I was just trying to have fun with TikTok. OK, but if you are going to just do it anyway, then what me and Dre are going to do, we're just going to promote the live. I don't know if y'all know what promoting is, but apparently you can pay. I don't even know why. That doesn't even make sense to me, but it doesn't have to make sense to me. But you can pay for your live, I guess, to get it to be shown in front of more people. So we're not asking anybody to subscribe. But if people are, then I'm going to set a goal, because the goal helps the live get shown. And I'm learning more. I'm reading all these little rules, and I didn't know this until Jordan pointed out that you had to pay for a subscription, which in my personal opinion, I think is ridiculous. But TikTok has rules set up, and I'm learning more about them. And so if you ever see me set up a couple of goals on there, guys, I'm doing lightning bolts and roses. So like 20 lightning bolts might be 10 cents or 5 cents. I don't know how much it is. I really don't like it when the same person does it. But like if everybody put one rose, the goal will be met, which will push the live out more. So, I mean, I understand you want to do all 10 or 20 roses yourself, go right ahead. But, I'm not on here. I have my own finances. My wife just started a new career. We're not rich over here, but I don't need anybody's money. I'll never ask for anybody's money. But if somebody's like, I don't care, I'm going to give some anyway. Well, all you're going to do is promote the video, the show. That's all you're going to do, because me and Dre's already talked about it. I'm not going to be sitting here sending money that comes on here into my bank account. Like that's not going to happen. So if any money is given through a subscription, then I'm just promoting the live, and it is what it is. So
there are a lot of people on here. There are a lot of people on here who I follow who do both. Some people, this is their job. There's people on here that have made over $100,000 on this app a year. This is what they do. Okay, so either it'll be controversial, be battle TikTok, whatever the case may be. And there are people on here. It's just like yourself. It's on the Christian side of TikTok, but they have nonprofit to help Black and Brown youth in their area for funding. Yeah. There's a lot of things. And in order for you to get real skilled on how to work this app so you can get your needs met, maybe you should look at some of those other people that are successful.
Yeah,
that would be great, because their lives push out 5,000 people. They push out 1,000 people.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
I understand. Trust me, I understand. And I'm just going to do what I know. And I'm not. I don't need to explain this, but it is fair to discuss it. But you know, everybody needs to do what they know that they are supposed to be doing. And right now, I don't feel led at all to do any of that. Right now, you never know. It could happen a year from now. Right now, I'm just going to do what I know, which is to give freely as it was given. And I think a lot of people make a mistake when they lose that focus on just giving freely, right? And so I didn't have to pay anything for me to gain an understanding of the Bible. It was given to me freely through the Spirit, and I'm so grateful. And that's why it says, that I dug, for this long, and I can't wait to give away what I found, and the treasure that I found, and which is very true. And so, trust me, I get what you're saying, but I didn't start. Listen, I would have never even started doing this if it wasn't for COVID. Let me make that clear. I don't think I've ever said that, but
no, everybody's like that, Try, honestly.
yeah,
But I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for you to obtain the money part of it. I mean,
yeah,
as for the exposure, how
yeah,
they are pushed out there on the app. One of the things I will tell you, anybody in your box should not be tapping the screen. That will suppress your live. It will not go out at all.
yeah. Well, no,
So
I mean,
we need to
I'm
have them
learning.
just put FYP. Well, and I think for me, since I am on that other side, and these people do make money as it being their job, they know that part of it. Where if y'all in the box, please don't tap the screen. Just put hashtag FYP in the comments. Everybody in the comments, tap the screen, share the live. And then unfortunately there are some of those people who make a goal in a sense of, if I don't have 25,000 likes, I'm turning the comments off. So those are things that it makes silence. It may sound like they're being a tyrant, but their live gets pushed out. That draws more people. And I know you
Yeah,
guys will never do that, but I'm
yeah,
just those are things that can be pushed out. Besides you sending us whatever you want us to do, for us to share it, on our FYP, send and share and send invites. But there are a lot of other ways to do things on this app that won't have you feel as if you're compromising your belief. Because I know how you are in regards to tithing, so I know when you found that out, it bothered you to no end.
yeah.
So
Well, let me
yes,
say this. I'll say this. I don't want to make a long discussion about it. Let me just say this. All I'm saying is right now, and trust me, I know that you understand how TikTok works, and we can, you can DM me and we can go through there some more. I don't want to keep Dre any longer because we try to get off right at 10. But I was just glad that Jordan at least reminded me that we're doing 2-a-days today. And we're learning on how to play around with TikTok, but we're going to do it slowly. We're just not going to foolishly, go head first and bash the wall down. We're just going to do one thing at a time. And we've already came to an agreement that the subscriptions, you hit the little star wherever it is on the screen and you subscribe, and whatever fun is there, what me and Dre decided to do is to promote the page with it. And that's it. Other than that, we're not here to make money. So, if you go to a church and you want to tithe to your church, then tithe to your church. But, me and Dre, we're just here to descale some folks, bring them alive. And, that's on everybody's personal decision to allow that to happen. But either way, we're going to hop back on at 4:00 Central Time. And obviously, everybody's welcome to hop in. And, if y'all got any questions for Misunderstood when it comes to a live, you can DM her. No, I'm just kidding. But but what we'll do is we'll just see y'all at 4:00 Central Time. God bless. See you soon.
God bless.